get started and understand it. So just by being here, you've taken a great step. I'm sure many of you are, experienced with Bitcoin and all the options that you can trade, crypto related things in the stock market, but maybe some of you are brand new. And I think this is going to be great for both groups of you. So I'm really excited. We've got a good group today. We have Nate Tucci joining us, who, like I just said, has been kind of a Bitcoin evangelist, at least in my chats the last few weeks or month or two, especially, since kind of Liberation Day. It seems like Bitcoin has been pretty untouchable. We've got Jeffry Turnmire, who, with respect to all these other guys, has kind of been my personal Bitcoin guru over the last 4 years. Hey, Jeffrey. Um,
Hey.
it's been 4 or 5 years now, right? That you've been kind of walking me through the evolution of Bitcoin and crypto and pretty much getting every word of it right along the way. So I'm
Uh,
excited to have you here and see what's coming next because you know before anybody else.
I haven't really been wrong yet on a major twist and turn. The
Yeah.
little bumps along the way don't always go the way I plan them, but the big major turning points, I've gotten it bang on as long as I've been working with you.
Yeah.
We started working together in March of 21, so we're working on year number 5 now.
Wow.
And Nate
Crazy.
too.
Been a while. It's been a wild ride. And, when we started, you were talking about the age of adoption. Now we've had the entire age of adoption. It's been adopted. We had Jamie Dimon just a couple days ago say he was going to finally let Chase customers buy Bitcoin. So we've got a lot to get into. I'm excited to hear your take. We've also got Kane Shieh joining us. Kane, welcome in. It's good to have you back
Thank
on
you,
the
thank you.
roundtable.
Great to be here. I'm
Um,
among a good crowd here, so
yeah.
I'm among some giants.
Absolutely. I'm kind of excited to hear your take on Bitcoin coming from, maybe a more traditional investing background and your work at PEMCO in the past and everything. Hear kind of what you think, what's next, maybe some risk factors people should know about. And of course, we've got Graham Lindman too, who's created the perfect Bitcoin trade, is obviously a Bitcoin aficionado in his own right. Graham, welcome in. Thanks for
That's a
being
nice
here.
big word there, Stephen.
Yeah, I know. I had to throw that out while
Yeah.
I How's everybody doing this morning or this afternoon? Some time of day. Now we're going to get those
Well,
tweets
dude, you
about
have
how
a whole
it's
bunch of people
not live.
who have been obsessed with Bitcoin, and you're asking us on a day where Bitcoin's breaking all-time highs how we're doing. The answer, Stephen, is we are doing great today.
Good.
How else would we be doing?
Good. I'm thrilled to hear it. Yeah, Bitcoin new all-time high yesterday, pulled back a little bit, and here we are again, already setting them again. So,
And the cool thing is, like, there's a lot of other opportunities going on. I'm sure we'll get into some of those, but shout out to some of our opening playbook folks who got on the what we call the coin catch-up trade. Coinbase sometimes lags behind Bitcoin a little bit in terms of performance. Bitcoin hit all-time highs. Coin's still not even close to all-time highs, but just within the last week was lagging behind. So Graham, what did you actually enter that trade to 55-ish, to 260?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. It was probably in the 255 range. It was flat for me for a while until about a couple hours ago. Now we're up 53,
Uh, the
55% on it.
the catch up is on, and yeah,
Yep.
that thing's ripping too. So we also have a two-way trade on that one that's gonna cash out for a full winner. So
Nice.
it's cool that Bitcoin is now not just a great asset to hold, but there's so many other trading opportunities around it
mm,
that exist.
yeah.
It's funny to hear some of you guys come around to this.
Hey, Jeffrey, I've been holding Bitcoin since 2012. I have 36,000 coins. I don't know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. I go by it. Oh, it's because I go by another name.
I think that's bullshit.
Uh, it's my pseudo name that you're probably more familiar with. That's why you don't realize that I am just,
Okay, sure
just
thing.
kidding, guys. I own one Bitcoin in the actual coins, but I own a lot of other stuff.
Hey, that's not bad. A lot of people will be happy with that too. Jeffrey, Kane, how are you guys doing?
Another day in paradise. It's been a morning all day long, right? According to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's excited.
The
This is
morning
nice.
is great over here, Stephen.
And it's
Yeah,
good.
it's
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 good to
all
meet
good.
Kane. This is my first time on with Kane.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
nice.
So good
I
to
didn't
meet you,
even know
Kane.
that.
Great meeting you too. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it's nice to have one of these roundtables where we're talking about something positive, the economy isn't crashing and the market isn't blowing up or anything. It's a nice change of pace. So for folks who haven't been on a roundtable before, welcome in. We're glad that you are here. Our whole goal with these is just to get you as much valuable information from our experts as we can. And we really appreciate that these guys are happy to give us an hour or more of their time to talk through, topics like Bitcoin, other things. We're going to be doing another one on Wednesday, talking about the GDP print that's coming next Thursday. So stay tuned for that. We'll give you more details before we sign off. But we're going to do a little different format today. Instead of kind of running through and giving everyone their chance to chat, we will do that, but we're going to do it in the form of four big questions. So we're going to have, kind of a big discussion around a group of questions that I think will help more experienced and less experienced Bitcoin people kind of get their bearings here. And then obviously those will, spring different questions and different conversations, but always be dropping your questions in the chat because around about 3:45, we'll dive into the Q&A and give everyone a chance to weigh in, get their questions answered. And, if there are live trading opportunities before the close, we certainly won't be opposed to sharing some of those too. So why don't we go ahead and dive in? The first question I thought would be an interesting way to get into this. And Nate, we can go to you first. Because like I said at the top, I do think generally Bitcoin, it's strange that this asset has a market cap of trillions of dollars now, and still people seem like they don't know a ton about it. So what is one thing that everyday folks should know about Bitcoin that they probably don't? And then you can kind of take that wherever you'd like to from there.
Okay, well, I'll give you like a more of a surface level. Maybe Jeffrey or one of the other guys would dive a little bit deeper on this because I'm going to kind of go to what I talked about before, which is just the availability and different ways to trade it. Let me ask in the chat just how many people are trading Bitcoin directly or indirectly? Either you own Bitcoin as in the actual token, or you trade IBIT, or you like Coinbase, or you're doing options. Like any, shoot me a yes in the chat, any of the above, and shoot me a no if you've literally not even traded any of the connected assets at all. Okay, so quite a few, and I guess Stephen, probably to your point, like the folks who showed up are probably the people who are more interested, because it is interesting. I think to your point, if over the last 4 years a stock, let's call it Nvidia, I just made that name up, but let's just say there was a stock
Cool
called
name.
Nvidia
We should try
that had
that.
all this incredible upside, and people were really high on it, had institutional backing and all of that. I think people would be much more interested in it than Bitcoin, just by the nature of, it's scary or unusual or whatever. And so for me, I guess that's the easy answer is that Bitcoin is not just mainstream as an asset. It's not just the seventh biggest asset in the world or whatever it ranks right now. It's not just interesting from a, potential ROI standpoint. It's so easy to trade. You can trade IBIT, you can trade IBIT options, you can trade all the strategies that I like doing, debit spreads and covered calls and all of that. You could trade related assets just like we would trade, Nvidia directly, or we trade a semiconductor ETF, or we trade a leveraged Nvidia. Like all the same things now apply for Bitcoin. So just the opportunity to take advantage of what I really think has become the best asset on the planet in this short-term period are available right inside your brokerage account without going anywhere or doing anything else. I like all of them. So I like trading IBIT directly. That's the one I trade most. I like Coinbase as a stock catch-up play. I like the leveraged ones if you're willing to take on some extra risk and you're willing to average, cost average when it's going down, and then look for kind of a super comeback trade on those and really get in. So I like trading all the different ways, and I think that's probably one thing that most people don't realize is as available as it is right now.
Yeah, I love that. Anyone have something they want to add to that?
I mean, there's tons of assets, and there's new stuff all the time. Like that's been the super spicy thing. Once the ETFs kind of broke free last year, right before the halving event, we've just kind of been piling on, and hadn't stopped. And it's actually expanded past Bitcoin, crypto in the whole. And right now, we're not seeing altcoins catch up yet. So that may be the big catch-up trade coming. We have leveraged tickers on Ethereum and on Solana and XRP. So it's a very, very growing asset class. when I first started working with you guys, you're like, oh, let's frame it like it's the new gold. Or I was like, no, this is its own asset class. And finally, I started seeing that in the market actually come through mainstream media market news that, hey, this is its own asset class. It's not like anything else, even though we're seeing similarities to other markets. It is its own asset class, and we haven't really had a brand new asset class in a while come to the market like this. So
Yeah,
Kane is a more financial advisor, and might have something to add there.
yeah, there's a great point that Jeffrey just made, and the way that I view it is sort of like a collectible. It's like the ultimate collectible because why do people want it? They want it just because they want it, or they think that there's some sort of store of value, or but we can make an argument that maybe it doesn't do that even that great of a job of as a store of value. But it is like the most liquid collectible that ever existed. There's millions and millions of people who are trading this, and it's passing hands every single minute of the day, every single second of the day, probably. But we do treat it like an alternative asset class, and the liquidity is what is unique about this particular asset class that sets it apart from other types of collectibles.
Yeah, to that point, on Graham and Nate's show yesterday, I brought up an important point about it that we've never had an asset ever that's been more rare than gold. After the last halving event, the mining rate, the creation rate of Bitcoin actually dropped below that of gold. So never in the world have we ever had anything that was more rare than gold. So this creates a unique opportunity that maybe we see some sort of hyper, as Kane says, it's a collectible. So as more people become aware, it's supply and demand, and maybe we see some rapid appreciation of price that we haven't ever experienced before in Bitcoin because of this unique combination, 1-2 punch of more people becoming aware and the fact it's more rare than any other asset in the world.
Yeah. So to the point that it being a collectible also and it being rare is there are assets that are more rare. For example, a Picasso painting. But to Jeffrey's point, it's being priced that way because it is super rare, or we can't make more of them, or there's a limited supply there, and people lose them. Some people, they get their wallet destroyed or whatever, throw them away accidentally, and those Bitcoins are gone forever, irrecoverable. So what's really interesting is if you look in the collectible space, it is purely on desirability of that item. So one way that we know that we should treat it like a collectible asset class is the fact that Elon Musk or someone else can put out a tweet and say, I love Doge or whatever it is, and then suddenly the thing explodes and everyone wants it now, right? Is that people, you see, just imagine a hedge fund manager saying, I love gold right now. Yeah, okay, that might move it a tiny little bit because people think that it's a good idea to go into gold right now, but it's nothing like the effect that we've seen in the past on a lot of these altcoins where a certain celebrity or certain someone says something about the coin and suddenly it just explodes in value.
Yeah. And one caveat that I left off of what I was saying was that also has a future tied to it. Like gold has a future tied to it, oil has a future tied to it. Picasso paintings, yes, much more rare than Bitcoin, but Picasso paintings that I know of don't have a future tied to it. So that's I left that caveat out of there.
Maybe also not liquid in any way. Graham, anything you want to?
That's what I got for you guys. This is something about Bitcoin most people don't know. Today is the National Pizza Day. We're 15 years ago on this very day. Funny enough that we happen to be hitting all-time highs on the same day, but the first recorded Bitcoin transaction took place with this nice guy here, with these two young boys, bought two pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoins. Oof. So today, those two pizzas right there are 500 million each, totaling up over $1 billion of value on those two pizzas. Pretty crazy to think how much it's accelerated over the last 15 years, let alone the last 5 years. Now, there's a point I'm trying to make with this about what I think most people don't realize with Bitcoin now is if you look, and this may be my opinion, may not be Jeffrey's opinion, but if you look back any year before this year, or really since the ETF, Bitcoin has always been a very, very speculative asset. Markets go up, Bitcoin goes crazy. Markets go down, Bitcoin drops like crazy. It's basically just a huge speculation. If the economy is good, and Bitcoin can rip. If it's bad, we've seen those 80% drawdowns. Now, what's different this year and over the last year that we're seeing, especially during the March and April crash, is that it's sort of not becoming such a speculative asset anymore. It's becoming a real asset for people. We saw it going higher while a lot of stocks were dropping like crazy over the last few weeks. And we're still seeing it going higher right now, all-time highs, while the S&P is still well below its all-time highs. Same with the NASDAQ. So I think we're seeing it as its true own. It is a risky asset, but it's not like it used to be as far as just overall speculation. It's another diversified way to invest now for the first time ever.
I'm not going to disagree.
I think that's a great point, and I think it's a good way to transition into the next question I have ready, which Jeffrey, we'll start with you because this has kind of been your ball game the whole time. But what do you think, this current run higher on Bitcoin? You've been forecasting for a long time with the halving window that we would see this kind of explosive move higher. So
Yeah.
how do you feel we're doing in that window? And when do you think it ends? How high do you go? Anything that you have to say?
So as I started out, chit chatting before everybody got here, my long-term calls tend to be more accurate than the little twists and turns in between. I'm always expecting a little bit more of a pullback, a little, better opportunity. I'm a trend pullback continuation trader, so I love to grab the pullbacks and really turbocharge my gains.
Yeah.
But, as far as the big, beautiful upside target that I predicted actually back before we even made the last high, I kind of right when I first met you and Nate, I was talking about how we would top out probably in the $60,000 area and then experience upwards of 70% pullback, and kind of gave numbers down around 15, 20,000, which we bottomed right at 15. And then I said this next run might take us upwards of 150, possibly, that 150 being my kind of conservative target, maybe 170 as I've run some more of the fib lines on the way up here. And those are the conservative low end numbers. And I'm looking on higher end, possibly up in the 230 to 300,000. And that's really where I kind of expect it to top out this cycle. As Graham was kind of talking that he maybe doesn't expect, as much volatility, but I do still expect we're going to see a crypto winter. I don't think 15 years of, these 4-year cycles, pushing us forward. I don't think that we're going to just magically stop doing a 4-year cycle. I think we will see some sort of interest wane, whether that's due to a U.S. recession or whatever it might be. I do expect after we get some sort of target up in the, my conservative target, 150, 170, right in that little $20,000 zone, I expect we could enter a pullback that lasts us through another like 18 months or so, well into probably 2027. Bottom out and then run into the next halving, start the next halving run that'll occur in 2028 and carry us forward. Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy, he says you got to look big picture, ignore the little 4-year cycles and stuff. And, for the last 15 years, 16 years, really, we've seen Bitcoin accumulate about 20% a year on average.
Yeah.
So
I'm sharing this halving chart just in case folks don't know what you're talking about there. But I mean, you were the first person to introduce me to this concept. Basically, they cut in half the reward for mining a Bitcoin. Is that the correct phrase for what's technically going on?
yeah.
Like you said, similar to gold, now it's made it more rare than gold, or to mine a Bitcoin. And so you tend to see these supercharged runs afterwards, and then these pullbacks that you were talking about. So it's definitely a pattern that's played out now. We're in the midst of it playing out for the 4th time, with pretty high degree of accuracy. So it's certainly something people want to be aware of and should be paying attention to.
Yeah, and as you can just roughly see that if you did the same sort of projection that we've had on those last 3 runs that you've got drawn on there, you could easily see a run up into that where it says halving in between that 85 and $360,000 mark there on your chart, and that wouldn't look that out of place on that chart.
I just want to buy Bitcoin for the price that Steven has it right there on the chart right now. I don't get that.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I
No, I
tried
think
to
that
find a more updated one quickly, but could not. So here we are.
I think this is the question that I'm like the least confident on is just basically how much of these runs going to go. Because like I do struggle with that of are we fundamentally changing? Bitcoin seems to have changed its behavior some recently with this kind of like store of value, having some green days under pressure, but having some red days. How does the institutional stuff change any of that behavior like Graham was alluding to? And I don't have like a super high confidence. Honestly, I'd probably trust Jeffrey on this more of like what he, would look at projections. But for me, the solution, even though I'm not super confident, is quite easy. I'll just share for me personally. You guys can take it or leave it. But for me, I own actual Bitcoin, and that's kind of my long term. Close my eyes and don't worry about it. No matter whether the cycle's 130, 230, or a million, I don't care. I'm not going to trade it. I'm not going to get in and out. I'm not going to do anything. I own the Bitcoin. And then on the IBIT side, and trading Coinbase and stuff, I trade like I would any other thing. Kind of my same strategies, using momentum and stuff like that, and trading that for the short and medium term. So that's kind of my solution to really not knowing is to just try to do both. Have the super long term and then also trade it actively as an asset.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Jeffrey, that there will be a crypto winter. Just like, I mean, gold is a kind of a decent parallel for this. Gold has had its great periods, and gold has had its gold winters. 2011 through 2020, gold was in a drawdown. Now, I don't think Bitcoins will be a 10-year period, but all assets have those winters, especially the crypto market as well. And I think that, like you said, Jeffrey, I don't think we're going to hit that winter here until we see about that 150 price range. That's my personal target there. But it will come. But like Nate alludes to, there's opportunities now, thankfully, with the ETF too, and the options on them, they're so liquid, opportunities to the upside. And then when we get to that winter, to the downside as well.
Yeah. Hey, none of us know for sure what's going to happen. We're just basing it on past performance, which may not be indicative of future results.
Yeah. And I think right now, this current boom that we're seeing in the Bitcoin prices are driven by some other reasons other than just the halving that's going on right now. So it's good to be aware of other forces that might be driving demand for Bitcoin. Right now, what I see is a US administration that is adamant about devaluing the US dollar. And we'll see if the rest of the world gets on board. But if you look at a chart of the dollar index, you can see that pretty much since January or February, since Trump came into office, that dollar has been on a sharp decline. And at the same time, what we saw before was that we had huge volatility in Bitcoin, but then it started to trade just like another asset class, so very similar to the QQQ. But recently, in the last couple of months, that started to decouple again and is starting to trade on its own. So what's really interesting right now is Bitcoin and gold also did not have a huge amount of correlation, but right now there is a large amount of correlation. In my viewpoint, from what I'm seeing of the forces in the markets and from an institutional perspective, that is all a reaction to the devaluing of the US dollar. And this is going to continue if Trump is successful at devaluing that dollar. This is going to continue for a number of years. And you can expect both gold and Bitcoin to continue to move higher because of that. So there are some other forces that are operating right now that are creating demand, and people are gaining or paying more and more attention to Bitcoin as an alternative to something like gold as a quote unquote safe asset to hide from market volatility when we have a policy in place that is actively destroying the US dollar.
And it's cool if talking about dollar money supply. Here's a fun little chart for you guys. If you look at the M2 global money supply, that's that orange line there, and Bitcoin, which is that blue line, they pretty much trend hand in hand, right? Money supply increases, Bitcoin increases. Decreases, Bitcoin decreases. Here's obviously a big run up, but like you can see here, decrease in money supply, decrease in Bitcoin. Increase in money supply, increase in Bitcoin. Here's a more up-to-date chart of what's going on now. If you put the M2 money supply 3 months ahead of Bitcoin, this blue line isn't even updated because right now, like March, April, May, we're up like here, right in line with that chart and what it's showing with the global money supply. So very, very cool, Kane.
There's a good question in the chat that we can go ahead and dive into now. Maybe Nate or Kane, can you give the, kind of the positive version of why the Trump administration would want to devalue the dollar? Because obviously it's a controversial decision, but they're not doing it, because they think it's a terrible policy. So
So Actually, I don't think it's just the Trump administration. I think the whole world eventually will want a weaker dollar. So ever since the 2008 financial crisis, we've been printing money like crazy, but also the US dollar has been getting really, really strong. If I remember back in the 2000s, like one US dollar was like 1.4 euro or something like that. Or sorry, 1.4 euro. Canadian dollar was worth more than dollar. All these currencies were worth more than dollar. Now it's flipped around, or they're close to parity, and that just destroys world trade. It makes it very difficult because many things are denominated in the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar is the reserve currency of the world currently, whether you like it or not. It is. So a lot of things have to be transacted in the U.S. dollar, and that means every single country is chasing these really expensive dollars just to be able to engage in global trade. So countries do want a weaker dollar, and Trump wants a weaker dollar because of all the things that he talks about. But basically, it'll help balance out trade imbalances, and it'll make life a lot easier for other countries as well. So that devaluation is an active policy by this administration. It's trying to get buy-in with the rest of the world. It's just that the thing that we're seeing right now is tariffs, and there seems to be a lot of controversy or a lot of backlash or conflict over those tariffs. But the underlying thing is that devaluation of dollar, which everyone wants. It's just that, do we go about it by implementing tariffs, or do we use other policies in order to get there?
Yeah, so I think, Joanne asked about like whether it's about other investments and stuff. No, it's more about import, export, and trade. Like if you look at like what Japan has done historically of always trying to keep their currency at a certain level because they are massive importers. They want to make sure that they can trade effectively. And if their currency goes, changes value dramatically, then their entire GDP is going to be thrown off by a 5% change in where their currency is pegged. And so now multiply that, like Kane was just saying, with the reserve currency. Now you're affecting every country when that happens with the US dollar.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
And there's actually a physical shortage of US dollars around the world right now. As the price has gotten higher and people have been trying to get more and more of them, there's actually a physical shortage of those. And there's been digital solutions such as Tether come onto the market. And then Tether takes the money that pumps into Tether and turns around and buys more Bitcoin with that. And I think that's one of the mechanisms that you're seeing create that chart where you're seeing the money supply and Bitcoin parallel together also. It's kind of an interesting global effect, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger as Tether keeps growing, especially in the BRICS economies.
Is it public how much Bitcoin Tether owns, Jeffrey?
Yes, it is. You can go look at their the website that our CEO threw up, bitcointreasuries.net, I think has it listed on there.
Okay, cool.
Looks like 100,000 at the moment, according to a quick Google search. Don't know if I can believe that.
Nate, that's almost as many as you.
I was gonna say they're coming up on my heels. I better buy some more.
Awesome. Well, Kane, let's put you back in the hot seat here and talk. You've already touched on this a little bit, obviously, but what do you think are the risk factors for Bitcoin right now? You did give a positive view for why, the de-dollarization could lead to a longer run up, but are there risk factors that we should be aware of or concerned about right now?
Yeah, I think there's two. You got short term and long term, right? So I've got to put on my trader hat and my investor hat and know when I'm talking about which one. So in the shorter term is, what if Trump is not successful, right? He can't manage to get world buy-in to the devaluation of the US dollar, and it starts to reverse again. So that would go, then we would start to undo some of these forces that are helping Bitcoin move up right now. And then, if we look at a longer term, and this might make me really unpopular on this panel, but we'll see what happens. Is that the main risk that I see is that Bitcoin is technology, and technology gets outdated, and technology gets broken. So security risk. So at some point in time, the blockchain technology is not going to be the new thing anymore. It's going to be easy to break, just like RSA technology was king of the world 20 years ago, and probably like a high schooler programmer could break it right now. So that technology will eventually get outdated and broken. When that happens, what's the value of a Bitcoin? when anyone can just break in there and just move things around at will. And also, if there's no fundamental usage of Bitcoin other than people want it, and we think that it secures us from certain things like government intervention. But if they could break that blockchain and they can just move things around, then you don't have that protection anymore. So in my viewpoint, personally, in my viewpoint, on a long term, like if I'm thinking like 10, 20, 50 years down the road, I'm not going to be holding Bitcoin. But it's a wonderful asset to trade right now. You have tons of volatility in it, tons of interest in it, tons of demand in it. And so you can get that liquidity, you can trade it as much as you want to.
Awesome. Responses to that or thoughts about what Kane just said?
I mean, it's kind of interesting. We talk about, the stuff. It's the encryption algorithm is SHA-256. We haven't had any known cases of ever breaking that, but we have all these quantum things that promise the future of that. We haven't actually seen any quantum algorithm that actually runs any faster than any traditional algorithm so far. It's all theoretical. So maybe as Google and all these other quantum people develop their quantum algorithms, that we do outdate blockchain as we know it today, or encryption as we know it today. So it's always a risk. There's risks with anything, and people throw out the argument that yeah, Bitcoin is just this thing, and as long as there's other people and collectors that want it, you could argue the same thing on US dollar. The only thing that really gives it value is people wanting US dollars. If all of a sudden US dollars were, you could just go get as many as you wanted, does it have value? It's the full faith and credit of the United States of the government that gives it value. But what is it that gives Bitcoin value? The full faith.
You also have the U.S. war machine backing it. So
yeah. But at the same time, we have the whole world wanting Bitcoins. So what changes everybody's mind? Maybe it's a security risk. Maybe it's outdated technology. You could speculate all day, but the truth is, this thing's up from no dollars 16 years ago to $111,000, $112,000 today, depending on what exchange you look at. What's it got to be before you believe that it has some sort of value? What's it got to be? What's a Mickey Mantle card got to be before you believe it has some sort of value?
It goes back to the collectible aspect of it, right? So it's like, people at some point, do people still want Pokemon cards 100 years from now? So we do kind of evaluate it the same way as a collectible, and where does that demand stop happening, if at all, ever?
Yeah. For me, I can't even spell quantum, but I think that for me, the long-term risk for Bitcoin is just, it has to have a higher black swan risk than other assets. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's incredibly high, but it has to be higher than, Apple, I think. And so it's the same answer as my previous one. I have my Bitcoin. If the black swan happens, that's rough. But what I'm doing in IBIT and everything else is trading options. And so the most I can lose is 100% on an option, treat it like that. And so kind of same answer for me. I'm managing the two sides differently. I'm not really worried about the short-term risk. Like Kane said, Trump could announce, never mind, I don't like Bitcoin, all in on Doge. And Bitcoin could go down, but you got an option on it. You're going to lose 100% of your option just like you would lose any other trade. Doesn't really bother me at all.
He's all in on Tesla first, though. So
that's true.
Graham, anything you
think, yeah, I'll just speak short term. Short term, my fear was if interest rates went higher for longer, dollars squeeze up, liquidity squeezes up, and nobody's going to invest in Bitcoin because no one's got the spare dollars to throw in it. Well, boy, oh boy, has that been wrong so far. And we've seen it firsthand just over this last quarter, especially as Bitcoin has gone higher amidst. We just saw when was the bond auction? Just the other day, interest rates jump worldwide, and Bitcoin is going the other way. It's going higher while the markets, Bitcoin did have an instant negative reaction, but immediately rebounded, kept pushing, keeps pushing today. So short term, I think that a lot of the risks are mitigated. And like what Nate said, the options, the ability to trade the ETF, trade the options makes it so much easier. where we don't have to necessarily think, what's going to happen 10 years from now. We can just take advantage of what's happening right now, play the opportunities as they come, and really leverage our returns too.
Yeah. I also think that we're getting to a point where you're going to be invested in Bitcoin or coins no matter what, whether you like it or not. If you have retirement money, if you have some fund or institution investing your money for you, they're going to start picking up those Bitcoins or those alternative coins. It's going to be part of your portfolio, whether you like it or not. So,
or even individual companies that are just holding them as part of their
right, yeah,
as part of their
exactly,
asset.
Yeah, I was going to say Coinbase joined the S&P, and now anybody that has S&P exposure, now you have Coinbase, which has Bitcoin.
Yep.
Like it or not, you have Bitcoin exposure.
The other big risk is if Satoshi, however you say his name, decides to come out and increase supply and start printing Bitcoins. Of course, that's just called the US dollar.
You weren't supposed to reveal my pseudonym on the call, Graham.
Yeah.
Actually, Satoshi cannot change the code. It has to be a consensus of miners that are Bitcoin participants that run the Bitcoin app. So it's back to things that people don't know about Bitcoin. Nobody actually has a Bitcoin. You have a wallet. All the Bitcoins stay in the main address, in the main ledger, as they call it, and they never move. All it is you have ledger entries. So when you have a wallet, that master ledger just says this account has that, but you never have the Bitcoin. When you put it on a wallet and go and a cold wallet and take it off the internet, you're not actually taking it off the internet. A lot of people don't understand that technical aspect of it. So back to the hackability.
Add me to that list.
They're all all the Bitcoins are always on the ledger. They never move anywhere. It's just a matter of where the ones and zeros go. And a lot of people don't understand that technical aspect of how Bitcoin works. So, and along with changing the code, like at this point, it's a consensus mechanism. You would have to get 51% of the people, maybe it's slightly higher than that, but around 51% of the people running the Bitcoin app. And you can go to bitcoin.org and download it for yourself and run it. And you're one of the participants in the network. And you have to download the new version to adopt the new version. And if you don't agree with it, you don't do it. So you keep running the old version. There's some interesting caveats when you really start digging deep into Bitcoin and how it can work and not work.
That's amazing. We've got some folks in the chat saying how we're blowing their minds. Mostly you, Jeffrey, I feel like, and Kane, and all of you guys. So
I think it's Jeffrey's goatee mostly.
Love it. All right, last of my questions, and then we'll dive. I've seen a bunch of great questions in the chat, so we'll dive into those here in a few minutes. But before we get there, Graham, this is, I think, a perfect question for you. We've talked a lot about, but we haven't really dived into yet, the kind of everyday investment vehicles, the options trades, the tickers that, maybe newcomers can use to get in on this. You'd mentioned the coin catch-up trade earlier. What are those things that folks who don't want to take a stab at understanding what Jeffrey just said about crypto wallets and don't want to dive deep on that side of thing? What are the things they can do to get started to have some exposure with Bitcoin?
Well, I'll give you the very easiest ones, and then Jeffrey will probably give you some awesome supercharged leverage ones that you can talk about next. IBIT is the iShares BlackRock Bitcoin ETF. It trades pretty close to 1-to-1 with Bitcoin. Obviously, they have their management fees, just like the SPY would or the QQ. But think of the SPY with the S&P 500, right? When you buy the SPY, you're not actually going out and buying S&P 500 futures or the whole index. You're buying the ETF, which then invests in the index. Same with IBIT. Does the same thing with Bitcoin. Just like when you buy GLD, you're not going and actually getting gold. You're buying the ETF that then flows the funds into gold. So IBIT.
Apparently, you're not getting Bitcoin when you buy Bitcoin either. So
that's true. That is true. IBIT, easiest way to get invested, get started. It's obviously very liquid too. So it's like, if you like it right now, you can buy it. And if 3 weeks from now you're ready to take some profits, you just sell it just like you would any other stock or any other ticker. Very, very easy. And also, as of just the last few months, look at these options. So they have weekly options. And the other thing is they're very, very liquid. Look at this open interest here. Let's go. I don't know. QQQ is probably got to be bigger, right? Nope. Oh, these are daily. Well, there you go. The Friday. So it's got more open interest than even the QQQ weeklies have right now. So very, very liquid, very easy to trade. The implied volatility, a lot of people think If I'm going to trade Bitcoin, well, the IV's got to be sky high because speculation sky high, volatility sky high. It's really not that bad. It's actually slightly lower than trading even NVIDIA options. So very good options on IBIT, very easy to trade, easy to get in and out of. We've done a few of those in the opening playbook sessions over the last couple of weeks, had a couple 100%, 110, 150% winners on it. And then also, like Nate mentioned earlier, you can trade other related assets like Coinbase, which is our lagging trade for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's at all-time highs. Coinbase isn't there quite yet, but I think that's one that's going to see a catch-up opportunity here. And like Jeffrey said, this is an S&P 500 stock, just like trading Apple, NVIDIA, anything like that. So nothing fancy, nothing crazy, very easy to do from any regular brokerage account.
Awesome. Love it. Anyone want to jump in and add some more there? Jeffrey, do you have those super secret nuclear tickers people?
So we launched a brand new product this week. If you haven't seen it yet, Kane and I are going to be live tomorrow, and we're going to talk about this. But I call them supercharged tickers. They are leveraged ways to take advantage of things in the market, assets like Bitcoin, without actually buying options like, they were just going through all those IBIT options. You can actually buy something like BITX and get 2x leverage on Bitcoin, or BITU, which is a little bit more my favorite today. And one I saw today, BTCL is another one that gets a 2x leverage. And there's more and more of these things every day. I haven't seen a 3x leverage on Bitcoin yet. I'm sure it's just a matter of days or weeks before we actually see one. There's ones that make money when Bitcoin goes down. There's ones that make, the ones that trade miners. There's one on Coinbase, CONL. I found one on Mara today, MRAL, I think it is. Let me pull that up and just double check before I stick my foot in my mouth too much. Yeah, MRAL is 2x leverage on Mara, a Bitcoin miner, which hasn't been performing, but it may get a catch-up trade here in the coming days and weeks ahead. There's ones on Ethereum too, like altcoins we've just barely touched on. They're lagging way behind. Do we have an altcoin season? Do we not? A couple of people have been joking with me in the background that maybe this season, last season we saw altcoins have an explosive season, last Bitcoin having run. This time, maybe it's these alternate Bitcoin holding companies like CEP, Smeller Scientific, MSTR, MicroStrategy. Maybe the meme coins of this cycle is actually these Bitcoin holding companies that are writing bonds and buying Bitcoin. So outsized opportunity there to play this move this time. It's interesting. It's a very wild and varied growing industry.
Yeah, it's crazy how many there are. Guys, one of the questions I saw that I thought was probably like the most relevant and practical question maybe earlier, I think actually maybe 2 or 3 people asked it early on, which is basically what percentage of your portfolio should have in Bitcoin. Now, obviously none of us are going to advise anyone on their personal portfolio, but I'm just curious if anyone feels comfortable sharing. Like for me, it's right around 20% right now. Well, I guess if you include my options, maybe 25% right now of everything I have is either in Bitcoin or something crypto related. Just curious if anyone else wanted to kind of share where they're at. Kane might be a little more conservative based on his analysis that we just heard, but Jeffrey might be a little more aggressive. I'm just kind of curious what range we have.
I'm at 30, and I've heard some actual financial advisors advise people, especially later in life, 5%. So I'm not a certified financial advisor. I'm not going to play one on Zoom here today, but it's definitely something you should talk to somebody about. Lots of people offer consulting. I'm about 30% with my personal family's financial. I have kids that are all out of high school. Nate, you're got a few younger ones. Little few younger ones running around, 20 or 25 of them. I don't know.
Nate needs Bitcoin just to buy those pizzas.
But I know Graham's a little younger too, just starting his family. So you guys may be more risk reverse or risk on. I don't know. You can share what you think.
No, for me personally, I always again, this is personally, I always have to separate my long-term money from my trading money, my short-term money. So trading money, I don't care. I don't care what my allocation is. I'm in and out. I'm in and out. I'm just trading the market. Longer term, then I would be asking myself questions like, well, how worried am I about certain global events? Am I worried about recession? Am I worried about the dollar as a reserve currency? So just depends on what I think is more imminent or what is further down the road. So if I was one of the people who felt like, oh, these things are kind of imminent, then I would want a larger allocation to it. And if I feel like it's further down the road, then I would be putting a smaller allocation to it. So one thing that I think a lot of people are confused about, I think someone may have asked something about like, hey, is Bitcoin going to replace the US dollar? Or is Bitcoin going to replace some other currency? And yeah, you see Jeffrey shaking his head, right? I'm on in the same boat. I don't think so. So, and people are like, oh, we might go back to a gold reserve. I don't think so. that boat has sailed. So basically, why have an alternative asset or a safe asset? Well, it is a means of transfer. Okay, so one of the functions of money is a means of transfer. So what that means is if the dollar gets replaced by something, or if the dollar gets the US dollar 2.0, right? We completely reevaluate the US dollar. What it is a temporary place to park your value. And so this is the store of value. And then when the new system is in place, you can liquidate, and then now you have stuff to eat again. So I saved away 1,000 meals worth of savings in the US dollar right now. I transferred over to Bitcoin or gold or something else. And then when the revaluation happens, then I still have 1,000 meals or very similar to 1,000 meals worth to feed my family. Whereas if I just stayed in that US dollar and just gets completely destroyed, then my 1,000 meals might become just one meal. And so it's just a means of transfer to preserve that value. It's not going to replace anything. It'll be something else, the next version of the US dollar that replaces it. So those are the types of things I would be thinking about in terms of actually percentage of allocations in my portfolios.
Yeah, I was about 20%. And it was like in the 40s when I first started getting in. Then it doubled, so it took about 40% of my account, which was awesome. But so I've been taking profits ever since. I'm down to about 10% of my account still in Bitcoin, and I plan to actually take the most of my profits, or the rest of them really. And I know Jeffrey would tell me I shouldn't do that, but I'm going to try and time it up. I'm going to try and take the rest of them here if we do get to that 150 mark. And then I'm going to wait for my crypto winter and get back in again.
That's in line with my plan. I'm going to massively deleverage at the 150 to 170 range, and have some exposure on probably a lot of my Bitcoin that I have zero cost basis in, which is coin I mined. So nice. I'll probably sit on that.
That's fun. That's a fun one to keep. But to Kane's point, I will keep trading it as long as it's a good liquid tradable asset that moves and it gives us opportunities.
Awesome. Yeah, makes sense.
And one other point I want to make is that Kane says we're unlikely to see a major fiat blowout or fail, but in the case that we did, Bitcoin is possibly able to act as a credit default swap mechanism for transferring value in the case that we saw a major currency blowout. Now, there's some speculation, all abound there, but it is possible that we could see. And for those of you who don't understand a credit swap, what that is transferring exposure of a risk event. And so crypto, Bitcoin in particular, could potentially act as a credit risk swap vehicle in the event of a major fiat worldwide blowing out. It's just a possibility. We haven't seen it happen before, certainly not in modern history where we've had a major currency fail, but we've had currencies fail throughout human history, and one's likely to happen again before the end of humans.
You're saying there wasn't Bitcoin around during the Great Depression or back in the day?
Yeah, we did.
All right. I love the insights. A lot of great, I feel like I've learned more in this roundtable than any other, and I feel like I say that every time. So I love it. There's some great questions too. So why don't we dive into some of those? And folks, if you still have questions, keep sending them in. We already mentioned this, that, obviously none of you guys are certified financial advisors in this medium, but we did have a question about kind of those altcoins or alternative opportunities and maybe particular coins you guys are looking at. Jeffrey, maybe we can start with you. I know you mentioned Ethereum earlier as a possibility, and I know you mentioned a couple others too, but are there particular ones that folks should know about?
Yeah, I like to stay in the top 10 as far as market cap goes. That's, really there's a severe drop off once you go from number 10 to number 11 when you look at and how do you find the market cap? Coinmarketcap.com is a great website to look at the top 10 coins on. Actually, you can look at millions
Also,
of coins.
the easiest URL to remember
Yeah.
on Earth, so
Coinmarketcap.com. What's the market cap of coins? Right there. I like to stay in the top 10. As you see, 2 of the top 10 are actually stable coins, USDC and Tether. So that's an interesting thing right there. A lot of people have asked me, do I think XRP can 10x? And you really look at the market cap there, could it 10x? I don't know. 10x would put it up near Bitcoin. That's a tall ask for something that is arguably only got 50% of its supply on the market. That's very inflationary and would push prices down if that other 50% of supply came to market. So if I talk about these things, I'm going to talk about it a whole lot more. I'm going to do a crypto special on YouTube on Monday. So if people want to know more about this stuff, they can come hang out with me on Monday for free on YouTube. But I'd stay in that top 10. That's where I like to live.
Smart, like that. Anyone else have thoughts on that?
I would say the same thing. Like, again, in my mind, I treat coins as collectibles. So what is unique? Like, why do I want to be in the crypto collectible space versus some other collectible space? And the unique feature about it to me is the fact that there's so much liquidity. So as Jeffrey was saying, if you exit that top 10 list, your liquidity is going to drop off massively as well. So why would I want to? Then I have to start weighing other types of collectibles versus these coins that I might be considering. Whereas if I am in that top 10, that liquidity is there and I don't have to think about that.
I'm more of a Melania coin guy. No, I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding. Joking, guys.
Oh boy, the chat blows up.
Just kidding. Just joking. No, yeah, same boring. I think I have the same Ethereum and a couple others that I bought like in 2017, Bitcoin, and then the only thing I've really done more on the actual coin side since then is Solana. When it ripped all the way back down, I don't know, somewhere in the 20s, I bought a pretty decent chunk of that. And so that's what I have.
Hey, I have like 500 million PP coin or Pepe coin or whatever, however you say that. It's down there around number 20 or something like that. But if that thing blows up to $1, I'm rich.
Nice.
I like to just stick with Bitcoin. It makes it easy, really honing in, focusing on what Bitcoin does. I feel like a lot of the coin, and especially to Jeffrey's point, once you get outside of those top big ones, it's really a guessing game. It's like trading penny stocks. It's a lot of gambling out there and really not a lot of value. So I like sticking to Bitcoin. It makes it easy for me to track and really hone in on the moves that's going on there.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's why I got that Pepe coin. Yeah, that's gambling with the penny stock.
That's right.
Love it. Kanaka asked, and maybe this is a good one for you, Graham, to bounce off what you just said. Can you buy Bitcoin through Thinkorswim? And maybe if the answer is no, what can they do in Thinkorswim that they can leverage there?
Yeah, you can't buy it directly. You can trade the futures with /BTC, or you can buy the ETF, IBIT or FBTC. I would just stick with IBIT, make it easy for you. It's the same thing as the SPY or the QQQ. And they have options too.
Awesome. We also had somebody asked, about Bitcoin versus the ETF, and then David just asked, why would anyone buy the coin versus IBIT at this time? I'm curious if you guys have strong thoughts on that or, think they're relatively equal.
I'll just go first. It's the same thing as why would you buy GLD versus going and getting coins from your bullion shop? It's personal preference, fear, and not that one's right or wrong. I'm just saying, like, it's the same thing. Assuming that BlackRock's not going to pull a fast one, the U.S. government's not going to pull a fast one on us. There really isn't a big difference, but that is the main difference. Is if GLD got locked up and they said you can't access your funds there, kind of hose. Versus if you have actual coins of gold, you still got them. Although, according to Jeffrey, they're all still.
You don't got them anyways. So that's what I'm hearing.
anyways.
That's a mind blower.
Yeah.
And anytime we ask questions like that, we always have to ask ourselves why, what is our purpose for going into Bitcoin? So, or going into whatever. So, why would I buy a Toyota Camry or a Ferrari? I mean, do I want to zip around and go super fast and look really cool, or do I want a commuter car that is super comfortable and get me from place to place? So you have to examine your purpose first. And so really, like, what am I trying to accomplish here? And is that better served with the actual coin or with an ETF? So to Graham's point earlier about GLD versus physical gold or some other form of gold.
Yeah, good points there. Let me see here. I know we've got more questions here. Graham, what was that website you mentioned? Someone just asked again.
I think this one Jeffrey mentioned.
Coin Market
Coin
Cap?
Cap. Yeah.
Okay.
Coin market
I'll
cap.
drop that again.
Another one I mentioned was the BitcoinTreasuries.net also.
Let me get both of those in the chats for everybody. And sorry, trying to chat and find questions at the same time. Never good. Shouldn't think and drive at the same time or something like that. You talked a little bit about the reserve currency, but there was a question about from Jim about do you see a brick gold standard becoming a new reserve currency? I think that was a solid no from Jeffrey, but I'm curious if anyone else feels differently.
That Bitcoin itself would actually replace it?
A bricks gold.
That bricks. Oh, no. I mean, I think very unlikely. And I think on the Bitcoin question, Kane might have said this too. I think if some crypto thing were going to be a replacement, it would be a new digitized coin that was government backed that they then, released. Like, I don't think it would be like, hey, we're adopting Bitcoin now as a replacement for the US dollar. So I don't think like any really scenario sets up for that.
Yeah, I don't think anything like gold, anything of limited supply is going to become a reserve currency. So if it's backed by gold or something that's of limited supply, and I also don't think that anything BRICS is going to become a reserve currency, because if you look at that collection of countries, I mean, their interests are not aligned at all. I mean, how hard was it to get the euro to agree to everything? If you're going to try to get those countries to agree to stuff, it's not going to work out. That's just
pretty sure they were all in the same fraternity. All the
well, let me ask you this though, because I obviously agree. I don't think there's any scenario where the world adopts it. But do you see a scenario where they split off and there's two global economies basically happening at the same time? Because I think that's the more likely of the two. I think it's not likely, but I think it's more likely than everyone's using BRICS.
I think it would be a sub economy if anything. I don't think we could have two separate world economies operating independently. I think we're too intertwined worldwide. There's too much. I mean, Kane, you can add, but I think it's just too much intertwinement to separate economies at this point.
Yeah, I completely agree with Jeffrey. That's what I was about to say as well, is that we already do have sub economies, right? We have our countries like the Russia, India, China that kind of do business with each other, but then we have the Western world, but then there's a lot of overlap too. Like India does business with the U.S. and I think no matter what, that's the structure of the world. And some things are done, it's like you can't unspill the milk, right? Everyone's trading with each other. Everyone wants everyone else's products. We're not just going to become isolated again. We're not going backwards in time.
Yeah, and I think, just keep in mind that as crazy as things feel right now and have felt since April 2nd, for something to become the reserve currency, it has to unseat the US dollar and have more people put faith in that than the US dollar. And we're so far from that at this point that, it just seems very unlikely, even with everything going on, that could happen anytime soon. Jeffrey, we had a question about Bitcoin mining companies from Mark. I know you've been a Mara guy for a long time, but do you want to list a couple of those options?
Well, I mean, you've got, as far as which one's a front runner or which one's the best, I mean, Mara has the most Bitcoins, and then Riot is probably close behind them, as far as close behind goes. As far as quality companies with low debt, you have CLSK and Mara. Opportunity, maybe BTBT. And it's to circle back to that crypto winter, I think we're going to see a very high death rate among mining companies in the next crypto winter. So that's a sector that I plan on being fully out of as we get to that 150, 170. I'm closing. I'm not riding that pony down again.
And
So
about related to that, Jeffrey, how many of the coins that are not in the top 10 do you think survive a crypto winter?
yeah, well, see, that's been something I've talked to Steven about for a long time. Is that I thought we were going to see the great altcoin flush out, and it's very possible that that may be what we see in this next cycle. The what's crazy is with Solana creating their level 2 network, the ability to create another coin, meme coin, crap coin, they go by all sorts of names on the internet. It exploded, and we're seeing almost 300,000 coins a day hit the market. And that's why when you look at coin market cap, it lists 15.9 million coins out there. And you're like, what the devil do we use 15.9 million coins for? It's because Solana made it stupid easy to make a coin. Literally, you could go follow a tutorial. You could probably ask an AI agent to build you a crypto coin and have it up with about $1,000 investment here in the next 30 minutes. And you know, it it's
And
just
then
ridiculous.
and then you
It's
get rich.
ridiculous.
Is that the end of that sentence,
Well, I mean,
Jeffrey?
you have to figure out some way to push it to social media and get idiots to buy your coin, and then you get rich as you dump the coin, like the Hawk Tour girl or whatever got caught up in, and all those other. It was all on the Solana network. It's all enabled by that same process. So headlines you've seen along the way, if you've paid attention, it's all it's gotten too easy to create a coin. The barrier to entry got low, and the number of coins exploded. That creates inflationary forces or dilution of cryptos, and 99.99999% of it becomes garbage. Stick in the top 10. The rest of it probably doesn't matter.
Makes sense. Love it. All right. Well, it is almost 4 o'clock. I appreciate all the time you guys have given us here. There's a question for you there in the chat, Jeffrey, if you have thoughts on that. I'm not even able to read it that fast.
Yeah, that looks like a more advanced topic, and you can come hang out with me on Monday. We'll see what we can do.
Love it. All right. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. I've learned a ton here. Russ says amazing info. We saw a lot of great comments in the chat. Graham, I know we're going to queue up something that you shared earlier today because you gave us a ton of information about Bitcoin that we haven't even gotten to dive into here yet. So do you want to set that up for us a little bit and tell us what folks should stick around and see?
You're muted, Graham.
Graham, you're muted.
That's good. Love being muted. Basically, like I told you guys, I like IBIT. I like trading it. Options are liquid. It pretty much tracks 1-to-1 with Bitcoin. I can trade it from my Thinkorswim account. I don't need a Coinbase account or anything else. And we've been trading the options on it. Very liquid. Super awesome. Here's our most recent tracker of the trades, and you can see every single one in there, winners and losers. This is just a snippet of the most recent ones, and we've just been on fire trading the options on Bitcoin. Very easy to trade, as you can see. Did a little MicroStrategy too, and also BITO. That was before IBIT launched their options, so I don't use BITO anymore. But anytime we get a surge in Bitcoin, whether it's a momentum surge or we break new price action or even a squeeze on Bitcoin, we're throwing options down. We're playing them for 100% plus gains. It's typically what we're going for there. So our most recent one closed out on the 12th of May, 193% on the IBIT call options. We've got 2 open right now, one on Coinbase, one on IBIT, both up very nicely today, especially with Coin on our catch-up trade there coming to life. I don't even know where it finished. I just heard the bell ring. Yeah, Coin up 25%. Our other IBIT trade up 47%. And based on where things are now, obviously all-time highs, we should be getting a new options entry tomorrow. So that's what we got. It's very easy to do. It's just like trading Apple, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Meta, QQQ, SPY. Any regular brokerage account works, and we are doing great. So far, 81% win rate on the live trade. So very, very proud of that.
Yeah, you're not supposed to win 81% when you're going for 120% gain. So that's pretty epic.
Trying to break
Yeah.
the rules.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're going to have Deanna start that in just a minute, but is there anything else you guys want to touch on before we leave? I know Jeffrey and Kane, you are live again tomorrow at 1 p.m., I think. Is that correct?
Yeah, 1 p.m. tomorrow. We're going to talk about the supercharged tickers. They cover every asset out there, including crypto. gold, oil. Kane, you're going to be shocked, I think, when we actually go through all this. So it's going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. And I just want to say, just a quick recap. Now is a great time to be trading these assets, the ones that Jeffrey's going to be talking to you about tomorrow, and these Bitcoin trades or Bitcoin related trades that Graham's talking about. We have the halving event that's coming up that we talked about, the US dollar getting devalued, and all of that is driving prices higher. And if you need a systematic method of capturing those gains, Graham's got one and Jeffrey's got one. So these are the guys to listen to.
Yeah, same. Just would echo that. Obviously, Graham's been killing it. It's been a pleasure to be on Opening Playbook and see how good his timing has been on some of these. A ton of our Opening Playbook people have made, a lot of money just on the free trades, but then obviously the people and who are really paying attention on these have had the chance to really hit it out of the park. And I think at the end of the day, that's what we're all here for. When there's opportunity in the market, to try to point people to it in a clear, concise way that's actionable. And Graham's done an amazing job with that since last year. So it's been fun to watch, and hopefully get some people to take advantage of that just, in the next couple of days here as Bitcoin hopefully continues to squeeze and everyone gets in on the fun.
I'm excited to see what Graham's got teed up here for us to, with this heck of a win rate here. So very
Awesome.
excited.
Well, let's dive into that and give folks a chance to see it. And don't forget, most of you guys, I think, are going to be back on a roundtable with me next Wednesday. So we'll be back soon. But before then, please stick around, check out what Graham has to share here. You're going to learn a lot and hopefully get a pretty awesome opportunity here. So Deanna, take it away. Thanks, everybody, for being here.
I love it. Why I think that, yes, we did hit all-time highs, but no, you're not too late. Nice, Fauna up 67% on Bitcoin. I do not believe you're too late to take advantage of Bitcoin. In fact, with options, now that we have IBIT as a ticker that anyone can trade from any regular brokerage account, we have opportunities all the time, and we don't need huge moves. We obviously just had an amazing move in Bitcoin, 30% to the upside. But with that said, there's still plenty of opportunities, because with these options, we can have a 1%, 2%, 3% gain in Bitcoin and make 100%, 150%. And I'll show you how here in just a moment. Now I'm going to grab a quick drink of water and then we'll get going. I'm reading the chat here. How would I choose between using call versus puts? Karen, I always do debit entry, so I don't do credit entries. So calls would be the upside plays, puts would be downside. 516 line, not 1% on PLD. Mac, it was kind of buffering back and forth. So it was below and then it was even, then it was below. Awesome. Let's see. Swing trade. Oh, so if you're trading 4 hour or anything under 1 day time frame, probably go with the 5 and 30. 4 hour, you can use the 5 and 16. But if you're trading 1 hour, 30 minute, 5 minute, 1 minute, use the 5 and 16. East Road, where's Bitcoin going to? I think it's going to 125 and above. But I'm curious, East Road, do you still think there's a double top? Alrighty. Well, let's get going here. In the Bitcoin in game. What a big scary name. It's not scary, guys. This is the final Bitcoin melt up, I believe, in this cycle. We obviously had that huge one earlier that I called about a year ago. Went from 42 to the high 70s. We saw a little chugging sideways from there. Boring, sluggish movement. And then now breaking back above. And when during the elections, hit 100, 109, I believe. And then as of today, it's made that kind of cup and handle and it's breaking higher from there. So my name is Graham Lindman. If you didn't know that already, hopefully you do now. And what I'm about to share with you is very critical information, because the timing for this briefing really couldn't be any better. That's because the stars have finally aligned for an epic Bitcoin melt up this year. And I think this is the last huge leg up, just a huge opportunity as we see the dominoes start to fall. Now, the last time we saw even something remotely close happen, Bitcoin ended up moving 593% during that period. Now, it's already up about 153% or 150% right now, but still room to go. The time before that, guys, look at this, 2,574% gain on Bitcoin. Now, that would have been enough to watch even 5K turn into north of $100,000. And for early investors, They probably crushed it on that. I showed you that pizza guy earlier. Pretty funny. Well, maybe not funny, but early investors in Bitcoin made a killing. But if you're thinking that Bitcoin is just some crazy investment that's old news, I want you to think again. Because not only has it outperformed all of the major indexes over the last 10 years, it just blew them out of the water. But let's look at this most recent 2-year bull run in the markets. Bitcoin has outearned the S&P 500 by 500%. It's done 5 times the returns of the S&P 500. And look at that. That's a pretty chart there too. How about the NASDAQ, right? Everybody loves the NASDAQ. Outearned it by 4x. And same for gold. Gold has been red hot. Everybody loves gold. I love gold. Bitcoin absolutely crushed it. But according to my research, we're on the brink of what could be the next leg up in the Bitcoin super cycle, one that I think will probably mint a new wave of crypto millionaires over the coming months, especially now with Wall Street heavily invested, a lot of retail heavily invested. I think people are going to make a lot of money here. Now, we've watched as global tensions have been pushing Bitcoin to all-time highs, right? We just had that yesterday. I put this presentation together earlier this week. I did not know Bitcoin was going to all-time highs this week. Just so happened that this literally just happened. Plus the fear of sticky inflation setting up Bitcoin for what could be the greatest super cycle of our lifetime. Now, it's this deadly combination that has governments gobbling up Bitcoin supply at a rate that we haven't seen before in history. And this is why I really, really like it right now. It's no longer some speculative asset. No, governments are getting involved. Companies are getting involved. The rich elite are getting involved. That also includes some of the biggest Wall Street institutions going all in on this unique asset, which is why many elites are calling for a massive rally in the price of Bitcoin before the end of the year. Here we have one person, a billionaire Silicon Valley investor, saying $250,000 before the end of the year. VanEck CEO, $300,000. Robert Kiyosaki, $350,000. Look at this. Standard Chartered says they see it hitting $500,000. And Larry Fink of BlackRock, one of the biggest Wall Street institutions out there, says it's going all the way to $700,000. So this is the Bitcoin super cycle you do not want to miss. But hear me out. You don't actually have to buy Bitcoin this time around. You don't have to get a crypto wallet. You don't have to go get a Coinbase account. Nothing fancy or confusing like that. That's because there's now a better way to take advantage of this Bitcoin melt up. It's a way that has given folks like you and me the chance to see bigger and faster moves on Bitcoin than the traditional way of investing. And again, you can trade it right from your regular brokerage account, no different than trading Apple or Nvidia. I call it the perfect Bitcoin trade. And it's a little known method that's shown the power to turn small $1,000 investments into maybe $2,413, $3,285, even $3,496 from every 1% move in the price of Bitcoin, which means it doesn't take much. So again, we might not see that 2,000% increase over the next year like early investors saw, but we don't need that. I think that Bitcoin's got at least 50% more upside from here, but don't worry about only settling for 50%. Every single chug higher, we get a huge leverage opportunity. For example, like on the opportunity that hit going into the new year, while the S&P, Dow, and NASDAQ were all topped out, Bitcoin jumped just north of 1%. It's not bad, right? But anyone following along with the perfect Bitcoin trade, when I sent out the alert to folks just like you, could have seen 137% gain on the options. That would have been enough to have taken $1,000 and turned it into $2,375 on a single trade. And remember, that's more than a double. Bitcoin barely even moved, just north of 1%. The next one, January 13th of this year, while Bitcoin nudged higher to finish the month, folks trading Bitcoin could have earned north of 5% on their investment. That's great. But again, anyone following along with the perfect Bitcoin trade, when I sent out the alert in real time to people just like you, could have seen 284% on this move. Much better than 5%, right? So $1,000 invested into Bitcoin the normal way would have paid $73.50. Really not much. But that same exact stake, same $1,000 in the perfect Bitcoin trade would have paid $2,846 in profit. And keep in mind, that was a real trade sent out in real time to folks just like you, just like every example I'll share with you today. Every example are trades that I sent out, I took with my own money because I want to show you the power of this. So had you start with, let's say, $5,000 in that last example, that would have been $14,230 in extra cash sitting in the account by the end of the trade. Now, that's a whopper. Now, I've been trading Bitcoin for nearly a full decade now. My first Bitcoin purchase was back when it was trading for less than $2,000 a pop. We're at $110,000 now. So I wish I held it and just buy and held and never looked at it again. But that's when I got started in it. But it wasn't until recently that I came out and made my biggest Bitcoin call ever. I did this publicly at the beginning of 2024, made a bold prediction in front of nearly 1,000 people. I predicted that Bitcoin would catapult from $40,000 to north of $100,000 by Christmas. And I didn't just talk about it. I backed it up by investing $250,000 of my own hard-earned money, and that's a lot of money for me. But what came next happened to be right. Bitcoin surged past 100K. That paid me an incredible $218,000 in open profits by the end of the year. Now, as great as my track record is at predicting the long-term moves of Bitcoin, I think you'll agree that my performance of swing trading it for big, fast gains may be even better. With my flagship perfect Bitcoin trade boasting an epic 81% win rate on nearly 2 years of public live trading. And we had another win that I gave away for free here in the opening playbook just the other day. And that also includes an outstanding 3.64 profit factor on live published trade alerts. It means for every $1 that you've lost or risked, you're making back $3.50 on average. That's a pretty good risk to reward. And I'm humbled every time I hear from my students and the outstanding results that they've seen. Robinson here said made $5,360 on the Bitcoin trade this morning. Richie, with one of the trade recommendations, up 400% in 7 days. Rochelle made $17,500. Jennifer, been wanting to let you know where I'm at with your programs, up $37,000. My most successful trading months ever. So crazy with the market shenanigans we had to deal with. And then David A., who has just hit an absolute grand slam home run, says, I like the way you teach. You're easy to understand. I'm killing it. He's up over $100,000 on the perfect Bitcoin trade. And today, I'm hoping to get your name up on the board next, hopefully with a big winning trade alert this very week. As a matter of fact, we should absolutely have one over the next 24 hours. Because I believe we're on the brink of the next leg up in this current Bitcoin super cycle. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to share with you all a new method to start taking advantage of it. It's an eye-opening opportunity that I believe will take my current track record to new heights that we could have never imagined before. Now, I know I just showed you some pretty big predictions that I nailed on Bitcoin. So it may sound like I'm never wrong, but that's simply not the case. You guys know that. The fact of the matter is the stock market is unpredictable. It can go up, it can get stuck for months, or the stock market can crash like we've seen recently. And with all of the uncertainty still plaguing our economy right now, it's kind of hard to get a clear read on where things are headed next. So if you've ever felt like investing and trading has been harder than ever before, well, honestly, it kind of has been, and it's not your fault. Don't kick yourself. Don't beat yourself up. You see, in today's world, most stocks are news-driven. Stocks' biggest moves come from earnings, tech releases, C-suite changes, right? CEO changes, gets kicked out, buyouts, mergers. How about the tariffs, right? We've seen news drive the markets. And unless you're on the board of a Fortune 500 company, or if you're in the White House or know someone who is, you'll likely always miss out on the big stock moving events. By the time you and I catch wind of a move, it's oftentimes too late to benefit. And it's this news-driven environment that can make it extremely difficult to gain an edge in today's volatile stock market. But this is cool. Bitcoin doesn't have earnings. They don't have a CEO or a board of directors. It's not weighed down by what new technology is on the horizon or revenue projections. As I'll show you today, Bitcoin actually trades nothing like stocks. And because of a unique trading phenomenon, we're actually able to hone in on some of the most profitable opportunities on Bitcoin, talking about a repeatable phenomenon that has given us the chance to turn small $1,000 investments into as much as $2,186 there. $2,500 there, $3,846. Again, these are all real trade alerts that I sent out in real time publicly. And you can take these trades right from your regular brokerage account, trading the Bitcoin ETF that everyone has easy access to. Ticker's IBIT. We trade it all the time. It's no different than trading the SPY or the QQQ, Apple, Amazon, Nvidia, or Netflix. It's just another one of those tickers. Now, there's a reason I call it the perfect Bitcoin trade, because it's the only method I know that has been able to not just beat the S&P and the NASDAQ, but even outpace the returns of top stocks like Apple and Amazon and Microsoft and Meta in just a fraction of the time. For example, let's take a look at what happened back in April. Now, at the time, I'm sure nobody wanted to be holding Bitcoin. It had just plummeted 10% over the previous month. Not pretty, right? The news was all over it. Here we have, why is Bitcoin going down? Worst quarter in 7 years. Trump is fulfilling his crypto promises, no longer enough for investors. Here we got the price drop. People are calling for it to go lower. But with this strategy, it doesn't matter what the sentiment is around Bitcoin, whether it's in an uptrend or downtrend. I really couldn't care less, because on April 21st, thanks to a unique phenomenon in Bitcoin, my indicator signaled a buy. You can see it right there. Sure enough, Bitcoin shot up over the next few days. And anyone who took the trade with me when I sent out the alert to members, people just like you in real time, could have captured 193% in 21 days on the move. Now, to put that in perspective, 193% in a month, that's more than triple the return that you would have seen if you bought Apple not a month ago, but 4 years ago. So you would have held Apple for 4 years ago and only gotten about 1/3 of what we just got on one trade. And it's 8 times the amount that Amazon would have paid over that same 4-year span. Now, folks could have out-earned 4 years of returns on those top stocks in just a matter of days just by trading the Bitcoin options. Now, that could have been like watching $2,500 turn into $7,337 before the next paycheck hit. And we get multiple of these types of opportunities each and every month, normally anywhere between 2 to 3 setups on average. Now, obviously, some months there's more opportunities that come our way, like this month has been a really, really good one for us. In other months, there's less. But there's always one thing that doesn't change. We're always targeting outsized returns on Bitcoin. For example, let's look at what happened in October. October 14th, this phenomenon repeated, and we had our next buy signal. There you can see it right there on the chart. So I sent out the new trade entry on the perfect Bitcoin to the perfect Bitcoin members, like I always do. There's the alert. Sure enough, Bitcoin went on a nice rally over the next 2 weeks, gained about 10% there. But with the perfect Bitcoin trade, you could have done much better. 118% return on the options in just 16 days. Then a few days later, October 21st, you could have seen the indicators align again for our next buy signal. Of course, I sent the trade alert out right away, stock and options criteria included. And again, you could have entered when my indicators confirmed the entry and grabbed 117% in 4 days. Now, that's 2 triple-digit winners in a row. And while my results were great, those are my actual results there. 117% in my brokerage, 118% in my brokerage. Well, Ron H., one of my members, did even better. He said made over 200% on each. So let's say someone started with $2,500. After that first trade in October, the account would have grown to $5,465. After the second trade, the balance would be at $11,880. Very real returns in real time that we took together. Now, that would have been $10,000 in under a month's time with only 2 total trades. And I didn't even cover the 2 other trades that hit in October. One was a 10% winner, and the other was 69% winner. Now, of course, I want to remind you that there's going to be big winners, small winners, and losers along the way. That's why my team and I worked tirelessly to optimize this strategy the best we could. And I'm happy to report that so far from our live trading, the perfect Bitcoin trade has hit with an incredible 81% win rate on the trades. And that's like winning 8 out of every 10 trades. And keep in mind, we're using options here. I'm not talking about the underlying stock, the options. Now, folks, if you know anything about options trading, then you know that it's very hard to even get above a 50% win rate or 60% win rate. But 81%, that's almost unheard of. So I understand if you would be skeptical when you hear a win rate that impressive. But after hearing some of the top stories from folks following across my various work, I hope you can see this is as real as it gets. Diana here said all of the trades you've shared were 100% winners, no losers among them. Dave S., every trade has been a winner, most in the high 2 and even several 3-digit percent wins. Thanks. KJ, keep the winning streak going. 100% plus 3 times in a row. So yes, there will be winners and losers, but I think we can all agree that an 81% win rate on live trade alerts, with those kind of numbers, the good is definitely outweighing the bad. Now, here's what's really important. Bitcoin doesn't trade like normal stocks. Stocks have earnings announcements, they pay dividends, and investors are always looking to project future growth 10, even 20 years from now. And it's why you see a lot of the popular stocks trading at massive valuations and simply far too overvalued. In fact, if you look at the price to earnings index, the average stock in the S&P 500 is currently trading at 28 times more than what it's actually worth today because they're looking to the future. They're trying to project where the price is going. So think about it. Would you pay $280,000 for a car that's only worth $10,000? Probably not. So to me, it's not really a smart investment to buy a stock for $100 if it's really only worth $20. And with valuations already sky high, stocks need these major news-driven catalysts to gain more ground. We've seen we saw it with Microsoft. It was in a bearish trend, and then finally news came, popped. If you waited for the news, you were too late. Now that makes stock picking a really tough task. And that's why some studies show that 90% of retail traders actually fail to beat the boring S&P 500. But with Bitcoin, it's a totally different story. Not only has it outperformed every major asset class since the early 2010s, here I put a comparison chart up, and it's so much bigger of a return that this is the gold QQQ and SPY. You can't even see it. It doesn't even show up on the chart because it's so minimal compared to Bitcoin. But most folks don't realize, unlike stocks, Bitcoin is a store of value. So it trades completely different than your average stock. It trades on price appreciation, similar to what we've seen with gold or other hard assets. Now, for years, economists and market experts have studied the long-term trends of this price appreciation, and the models for it are really pretty accurate now, which is how I was able to nail my recent Bitcoin predictions with stunning accuracy. I just followed the models. However, it's not like Bitcoin goes straight up and to the right every single day, right? There's periods of choppiness, downtrends, and massive surges that seem to come out of the blue. But based on my research and my real money trades, I've noticed that the biggest moves typically come from a little known phenomenon that I'd bet 99% of traders have never heard of before. I call it a liquidity vacuum. Simply put, these are the handful of times each month where Wall Street is forced to buy Bitcoin at a rapid pace, sending it skyward. And yes, I underline the word forced because they're forced to buy up Bitcoin right under our nose. And when we've been able to spot these liquidity vacuums forming in real time, we've been able to front run some of the most aggressive buying patterns on Bitcoin for quick hitting winners. For example, let's take a look at some of the recent trades we took. Here you can see in November, $3,265 profit opportunity in November. That's based on $2,500 invested. $3,400 in January, $3,750 in February. Now, from what I've seen, this liquidity vacuum phenomenon can repeat about 2 to 3 times per month. And as I've shown you, they've been extremely reliable. But let me walk you through what makes it so powerful and exactly how it works. You see, even with the parabolic rise in Bitcoin over the last decade, Bitcoin is still one of the most shorted assets out there. The thing has gone nuts, gone to the moon, but still heavily, heavily shorted. In other words, there's still tons of money betting against Bitcoin, betting that it will fall. And here's what's really important about that. If Bitcoin does fall, short sellers, they make money on the way down, right? That's just common sense. We all know that. However, if the buyers do start to step in and Bitcoin starts gaining steam, increasing in price, the short sellers are forced to liquidate their positions. They're forced to exit out, which in turn means they have to actually buy Bitcoin to unwind their position. That's how they exit the trade. So when they go short, they sell it first, and when they exit, they have to buy it back. So it goes against them. They buy Bitcoin to exit their trade. And when the bears have to buy Bitcoin, there's really no one left to sell to. That creates this liquidity vacuum, as there are no more natural sellers, only desperate buyers. And this is a self-fulfilling prophecy, propelling the price higher and higher, giving you and me a great chance to profit, just like we did here on this exact trade with the perfect Bitcoin trade. There again, my brokerage shot, 100% gain there on this trade you see. And the crazy part is, these short sellers, they don't have a choice. When Bitcoin starts moving against them, they either have to close out of the position by buying Bitcoin, or they're going to catch a margin call and they're going to be forced to liquidate, which again forces them to buy. And that's the underlying phenomenon that makes these liquidity vacuums so powerful and so consistent. For example, let's take a look at our recent trade from November. Now, by the beginning of November, short bets against Bitcoin were flooding in. You can see a ton of short bets up here. This is what that line is showing you. And a lot of people expected Bitcoin to take a nosedive over the coming weeks. Here you see the headlines. You read the news. People are saying it's going to 62,000. It's going to keep falling. Fell 24%. What happened last time? It keeps going lower. Stay away, right? Well, none of that really mattered when it came to the perfect Bitcoin trade. Well, while the short sellers weren't wrong, because Bitcoin did drop the first few days of November, the success of the short sellers was very short-lived, because on November 6th, Bitcoin started raging higher as the bulls flooded the market. Look at that candle there, big green candle. Now, all of a sudden, the short sellers found themselves on the wrong side of the trade yet again. And that forced them to exit their position, which means they have to buy Bitcoin at a rapid pace to get out. Now, this created a liquidity vacuum, as there was no one left to sell to at that higher price. So let me ask you, what do you think happened next, right? Bulls are stepping in. They're moving it higher. Short sellers are closing out by buying Bitcoin. We got double the buyers coming in. Well, as expected, with the surge in buying activity, Bitcoin went roaring higher and higher. And had you taken 2 minutes to set your trade with me when I sent out the alert, again, any regular brokerage account will do, you could have bagged another healthy winner. This one was 130% gain over the next 10 days. Again, very real trade sent out in real time, just like every example I've shown you today. Now, $1,000 into that one could have turned into $2,000, $306. $5,000 could have flipped into $11,000, which again isn't out of the equation considering what some of my top students have said about my strategies in the past. James made $10,000 on one of the picks, taking some profit soon. Jack made $25,000. And rest assured, you don't need some sort of complex crypto wallet to take these trades either. Each and every one of these trades can be taken from any normal brokerage account. Schwab, E-Trade, Robinhood, Tasty Trade, Thinkorswim, you name it. We're just trading ticker IBIT. It's no different than the SPY, QQQ, or GLD. And for the options, I give you both the basic call options as well as one of my hand-picked spreads, so you can take whichever one works best for you. All we have to do is wait for my custom-coded indicators to flag the next liquidity vacuum, and then we're off to the races. Just like the trade I sent out in February. Folks following along would have got the trade alert sent right to their email, cell, and Telegram with both the basic call options and the hand-picked spread right there for you. So you can trade whichever works best for you. Now, in this case, it was only 30 cents per contract to enter, so you could have gobbled up a dozen contracts without breaking the bank. And sure enough, this one happened fast. 24 hours later, 150% gain overnight on the options. Now, that would have been enough to have taken $1,000 and turned out a $1,500 profit overnight, or $2,000 and caught a $3,000 payday in only 24 hours, just like I've done over and over again on my live trades that I share with you in real time. Now, I actually took this trade myself, and there you can see I pocketed an extra $3,096.24 in my own account. But I wasn't the only one who took part in the fun. Alan C. here says, I was very successful on the trade you pointed out, profited over $800 on the overnight move. Deb, 160% on the trade. Howard, $1,620. And today, I'd love to get you started with the perfect Bitcoin trade, targeting what could be our next great win this coming week. In fact, I already have the basic trade set up and ready to go out to the members. And over the next 24 hours, I'll make sure to verify the signal and then send it out both the stock and options criteria right to your inbox. So if you'd like me to send this to you too, go ahead, pull up your chat, give me a quick yes in the chat. I would love to see who all's excited about this opportunity right now. Post a yes in the chat. Lots of yeses. I love it. Well, in the next few minutes, you'll have a chance to jump in on the newest opportunity. Plus, I'm going to also give you a red hot open position we have right now. It's up about 51% as we speak. But before we get there, I want to show you how the indicators work and why I believe our results will only get stronger over the coming weeks. You see, I constantly monitor Bitcoin's price action to get us in and out of the next play. I use tools like my Apex indicator, which tells us when the price action is breaking out. That's what we used last week in the opening playbook to get that 110% gain on Bitcoin. And I use my Newton momentum indicator, which lets me know when Bitcoin is trading at an above average speed. Look familiar? Great tool. It's picking up on all the breakouts. But the biggest breakthrough was finding a trigger moment to jump in when Bitcoin enters a liquidity vacuum, that very special phenomenon like I've shown you today. Now, thanks to the help of artificial intelligence and some sophisticated coding and programming, we've been able to hone in on the liquidity vacuums at an incredibly high rate. Now, it's one that I thought would never even be possible. You see, during Bitcoin's low volatility periods, where it's chopping around, maybe moving sideways, going nowhere fast, we typically see a huge short interest start to build up, right? The short sellers are coming in. They think it's time for them to start making money. So we get all these short bets coming in. That's because Wall Street oftentimes expects breakdowns after consolidations. But when volatility suddenly expands like it literally just did, and the price starts breaking higher outside of the standard deviation, that catches Wall Street completely off guard. And that's when you see the forced liquidations begin, right? It's going against them. They have to close their shorts, and they close it by buying Bitcoin to cover. And their buying only adds fuel to the rally, propelling the breakout more and more. Now, that's exactly when my indicators give me the green light, allowing us to target what could be the next massive move. And you can see here, this is a chart. I've highlighted every single up arrow over the last 5, 6, 7 years on Bitcoin. You can see pretty darn good, right? Now, all we have to do then is place a quick trade to follow along and ride the move, just like we saw in the testing of Bitcoin. I ran it all the way back to the inception. Look at this, 58,000 profit. Check it out, 58,000 total ROI on this trade setup, which is pretty hard to even fathom. But we've also seen the similar success from the live trade alerts so far. Here you can see just a snippet of them. Not all are going to win, right? There's losers, but there's a lot of winners, especially considering we're winning 81% of the time. And look, 193, 284, 137, a lot of big juicy winners, and a 3.6 for profit factor, meaning for every $1 you risked, every $1 you lost, you're making back $3.50. If I told you, you give me $1 and I give you back $3.64, I think everyone would do that all day long. Now, all in all, when you look at the trade tracker, the live record, had someone started with just $2,500, not even compounded a single penny, they'd be up $39,831 in profits since I started the program last year. Had you started with $5,000, you'd be looking at nearly $80,000 in gains by just taking this basic setup over and over again. High consistency, high accuracy, not a lot of stress, no gut feelings. We just roll with it when it sets up. And remember, it's not like you have to get a crypto wallet or Coinbase account to trade this. Each and every trade alert I send can be done from a standard brokerage account. It's just like trading any other stock or ETF. And for you options traders, I give you both the basic calls and the handpicked spread so that you can trade whichever is most suitable for you. Entries and exit alerts all included. Now, before I open the doors on this exclusive membership, there is a reason that I'm holding this special broadcast today. You see, I believe that the best days are still ahead of us. According to my research, we're on the brink of what could be the next leg up in this Bitcoin supercycle. And like I mentioned at the beginning, it's funny. I put this material together earlier this week. I did not know Bitcoin was going to be breaking all-time highs today. So it's funny that this is literally happening as I'm delivering it to you. Now, if this leg up continues, our opportunities with the perfect Bitcoin trade could only get bigger and hit faster. Let me explain why. There's 3 pieces to the catalyst happening right now. Right now, governments are buying Bitcoin. It's kind of unheard of, but it's happening this time around. And they're scooping up the limited supply out there. This is creating pent-up demand at a rate that we have quite literally never seen before. In fact, Texas just passed their strategic reserve. Now, according to the reports, these governments, they're not planning on selling anytime soon. They're buying and holding just like they do with Fort Knox and the gold. And actually, yeah, like I said, just the opposite. They're buying and holding, and this is just going to take supply away from the market, creating that pent-up demand. But that's not all. Number 2, if we're looking technically at the patterns, Bitcoin is on the verge of a major breakout. The golden cross, which is where the 50-day moving average crosses the 200-day moving average, it just happened literally the other day, and it's never failed before. Look at all these circles of golden cross. What happened? Bitcoin surge. Here you go. Bitcoin surge. Bitcoin surge. Never failed before. I don't expect it to fail us again. And last but certainly not least, Bitcoin's volatility range, it's been compressed again for the 3rd time since the halving. So like I said, when we have these consolidation ranges, short sellers load up. It's happening right now, and we're seeing it break against them. Every time that this consolidation range has happened in the past, look at these back here too. Bitcoin has ended up going way, way, way higher. And why does that happen? Well, let's remember, during Bitcoin's low volatility periods, when it's consolidating, we typically see a huge short interest start to build up. It's because Wall Street oftentimes expects breakdowns after consolidations. But when volatility suddenly expands like it is right now, right at this very moment, and price breaks higher outside that standard deviation, Wall Street is caught off guard and the forced liquidations begin. That's when the shorts get margin called or stopped out, and they have to buy Bitcoin to cover their position. Now, their buying adds fuel to the rally, only propelling the breakout more and more. So when we're used to seeing wins like these during the normal times for Bitcoins, can you imagine how big they could get over the coming weeks here? And that's why I believe it's critical that you grab your slice of the pie today. Because once Bitcoin starts moving, it's a very tough force to stop, and you guys know that. So today, I would love to get you in on the next opportunity if you're up for it. Plus, you can access the newest trade this week and the red hot position we currently have open simply by claiming your membership to the perfect Bitcoin trade. And you guys are going to be blown away with what we've done here today. Now, starting this coming week, I'll be sending you the perfect Bitcoin trade right to your email, cell phone, and Telegram. And I want this to be as easy as possible to use for everyone on board today. So you'll get the quick analysis and alert, the stock criteria if you just want to trade the stock. You'll get the basic call option to take, and the hand-picked spread if you're a little more advanced. That way, it doesn't matter who you are or where you have your brokerage with. You'll never have to miss out. I made this so everybody can take part in it. Now, of course, I'll follow up too with an exit alert when it's time to close out. So you're not left guessing here at all. It's my goal to give you the very best opportunity possible on each and every trade, exactly like in this alert right here. I showed you April 21st, sent you the entry right here, sent you the exit here, and let's look what happened. 193% in 21 days, enough to turn $1,000 into $2,935. This was just closed out just a few days ago, guys. This just happened. $2,500 would have turned into $7,000. So I'm going to send you the entry alerts. I'm going to send you the exit alerts, but I'm not stopping there. I'll also be including the perfect Bitcoin long-term buy and hold portfolio. This is where I share some of my favorite tickers to invest in to take advantage of this Bitcoin super cycle that we're seeing right now from an investment approach. Now, I'll give you the tickers plus sample allocations of how I would personally weight the portfolio. There's a handful of tickers there that you might want to look at. And as you can see, based on this weighting here that I do for you, we're up huge in the model portfolio since the picks when I first gave them out last year. You can see the entry dates here, up $46,000 there on the model portfolio. So let me say it one more time. You don't need a crypto wallet to take these. These are normal tickers that you can take in any regular brokerage account. Now, they're also available to invest in most retirement accounts, 401ks, and IRAs if you'd like. Now, keep in mind, I'm not your financial advisor. I don't know your personal situation and what risk levels are best for you. But I do want you to have an ample amount of opportunity to capture the best upside if my Bitcoin analysis is correct. So you guys take it, run with it, do what you wish. Just like I've been able to personally do for my own investments over the past few years. Again, this was my open profits last year from just following along with my analysis, over $200,000, biggest, best trade of my life. So this will be included as a bonus for the new members today for no extra charge. Now, I think that the combination of the perfect Bitcoin trade alerts plus the investment portfolio is easily worth 10 grand. And I can say that with a great deal of confidence, given that the model portfolio so far for both is up over $100,000 in profits. Plus the fact that some of my star students have been able to absolutely hit it out of the park. Here is an update from David, on target to make over $500,000 this year from 2 of Graham's programs on the clock in perfect Bitcoin trade. Lifetime memberships were paid off in the first trades. I love it. But of course, no matter how good the trade results have been or the success of the current students, I can't guarantee future results. So remember, don't invest more than you could afford to lose on any single trade. Yes, we're winning 81% of the time. Yes, we are absolutely crushing it, but just be smart, guys. Because as you know, like any investment, Bitcoin, it could go up or down. But that's exactly where I think the perfect Bitcoin trade levels up a notch. You see, when I program the indicator, tracking the liquidity vacuums in Bitcoin to the upside, right? Well, I didn't just test it to the upside. I also programmed it to tell me when we could trade Bitcoin to the downside as well. That way, if in the case that I am wrong, right, and let's say Bitcoin does fall, well, we'll still have a huge opportunity at our fingertips. In fact, if you look at Bitcoin's full price history here in Thinkorswim, you can easily see by the pink arrows that it's nailed every single downtrend in Bitcoin. I think this is so amazing, so impressive. And again, a lot of it was thanks to artificial intelligence really honing in and optimizing this for me. Look at those pink arrows. They nailed those downside moves. So whenever it tells me that Bitcoin could head lower, I'll send you an alert right away, just like we normally do. It's the same exact process as usual, except instead of buying calls, we'll just use basic put options instead. Just like the 2 winners that we had to the downside back in June, 200% gains, and the 51% downside payout we scored in August. Of course, this bonus, it could be sold separately for another $1,000 fee, but for the perfect Bitcoin members, it's included for free, no extra charge. And that brings me to the last and final bonus, and I think this is a really, really big one. Right now, we're seeing catalysts and trends pop up around Bitcoin each and every day, right? Texas literally just approved their strategic fund. We're seeing governments buy Bitcoin, Wall Street buy Bitcoin. Everyone's going in. It's an ever-growing market with new opportunities all the time. So here's what I'm going to do. Free ongoing Bitcoin and crypto optimization. you're going to be entitled to all of the coming testing, optimization, discoveries, and profit opportunities that my team and I come across in the crypto world. And you'll also receive extra trade opportunities included in your membership for free. So as this develops, as I come up with new things like I am right here with the liquidity vacuum, it's getting added in for free. Now, this is easily a $2,995 value, since I could probably charge separately for each new development. Plus, I've already added in extra bonus strategies for the members that we haven't had time to cover today. But I want this membership to truly be the perfect membership for anyone who joins. So I'll be doing all the future testing, programming, and hard work for no extra charge for you. Now, I hope you can see that I'm holding nothing back. And of course, I'll keep track of the trades and the perfect Bitcoin trade alerts in that trade tracker so you can see how it stacks up to the S&P. And again, so far from the live trade alerts that were sent out to people just like you in real time, 81% win rate, 44% average return per trade. That's winners and losers. Our average winner is 75%, killing it. Remarkable profit factor of 364. Again, if I told you, you give me $1, I give you back 364, people would take advantage of that all day. That's the kind of results we're hitting here. But what gets me most excited about the trade tracker is that when you count for all of the live perfect Bitcoin trades so far, $5,000 starting out would have turned into $79,663 in profit, all based on the live trades, no compounding, nothing fancy there. And that's after only 36 trades. So I want to say this one more time, guys. Those results are not from a back test. These are real-time alerts, which is why I'm so excited to share those results of the perfect Bitcoin trade with you. Now, it shouldn't shock you that our publisher wanted to price this program near $4,000 a year. I said, let's knock 50% off. Let's make it $1,995 per year. But then, given the extremely rare window of opportunity we have right now, with the governments gobbling up Bitcoin, the technical breakout with the golden cross, Bitcoin's volatility range compressing again, and now, right as we speak, expanding to the upside, and the breakout happening, all-time highs right now. Well, I wanted to set the membership fee at a price that almost everyone could afford today, but it's going to be available for a very, very limited time. It's unlike anything we've ever done before. So no, it's not $4,000 a year, not $1,995 per year either. Go ahead, click that link in the chat that Raleigh's posting right now to see today's insanely low price deal. It's a no-brainer, and you'll be shocked when you see how good the discount is today. You can go ahead and go to prosperitypub.com/PBT to check it out, or give us a call, 904-706-3537. Guys, we do have a limited time special on this best deal available. It's not $2,000 per year. Huge, huge savings per year. I'm going to give you a hint. It's not even half that right now. So click that link in the chat to get started. I know we saw a ton of yeses. I'm excited. There's actually 2 trades for you in the members portal right now that you can take. One's up about 50% and one is probably up about 5%. So 2 ample opportunities that are available. And then again, this week over the next 24 hours, typically I send the alerts out on Friday, we could have a new entry here. So what will the new trade look like? Well, only the members will know. But if you attend my opening playbook sessions recently, which hopefully you have, you should already have gotten a taste of how good they can be. This was the last one we had, closed out on Friday last week, 111% there on the IBIT trade. Now, that would have been enough to have turned $1,000 into $2,111, which would have been more than enough to cover your membership after one trade and still have about $500 left over. If you can do quick math, you know how much this thing is going for, and it is an insanely good deal. So what's today's special price? Guys, click that link in the chat to go check it out. You're going to be mind blown when you see it, especially considering that I originally wanted to do $1,995 per year, which again, you've seen the results. You know that's a totally fair deal. Go ahead and check out the chat, guys. We've got trades flying left and right here right now with Bitcoin breaking out. It's just a really, really sweet opportunity. We've got some questions here on the average win, profit return. Guys, 81% win rate on live trade alerts. That's the win rate. About 8 out of every 10 trades, or 4 out of every 5 trades are winners. Our average winner is 75%. And our average return, when you average out the winners and the losers, 44%. And that's over a 9-day average hold time. So I'm not talking about 44% in a year. It's like about a week, 44% on average, which puts us at a profit factor of 3.64. Now, when you join today, you'll also get access to my special Perfect Bitcoin Masterclass. And in the recording, I walk you through the strategy step by step. And I even show you some of the other ways we're able to target outsized move on Bitcoin. Now, of course, if you have any questions, visit Customer Service Live. They are the best. and can walk you through the trade alert, the strategy, which brokerage work best. And again, you get a free pass to our daily CS live trade room where the top team members are live in a Zoom room just like this every day from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern to answer any of your questions. It's a sweet, sweet experience there. So again, guys, click that link in the chat, get join today and see those other bonuses that I have for you inside the members portal. Now, before I open up the chat and answer some questions, I do have an important announcement. For a very limited time, I'm offering a special bonus for the most dedicated students. Once you click the link in the chat, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It's a special multi-year deal where you can save even more money on your membership. However, this is a very limited time offer and it won't be available for long, guys. We've got a multi-year deal right now. I think it's less than $1,000. It's incredible what we're doing right now. I'm very, very happy for it, but I have to warn you that that is going to go offline soon. It's too good of a deal. But again, I want you guys to have these opportunities right now. I don't want you to have to wait or, worry about, the price of it or anything, guys. This is an amazing deal today. And I can't wait to see the results from you once you're on board with the perfect Bitcoin trade. Just like I've already heard from some of the students. Tim L, $1,200 on the options. Richard said, no brainer. Services are spot on and growing our accounts. Thank you for all you do. Jennifer up $9,000 on the trades and missed two big ones because she was traveling and got distracted. Rhonda here made 60% and 69% on the trades. Jason, 186% on the perfect Bitcoin trade. So the question is, will you be next? Well, if that's you and you want in, now is the time to take action because we should have a new trade alert coming up at any moment. And keep in mind, guys, once you join today inside the members portal, go look at the open trades. There's still open opportunities right now for you. Now, I know we have some questions here in the chat about lifetime access. Well, once you take one of the spots today and click the button to submit your membership, don't exit the next page, don't refresh, don't hit the back button. That's because on the next page, you're going to get a very special invite to upgrade your subscription to the lifetime access. And there's a few implications with this. First off, you're going to save thousands of dollars on the fees. You see, at the current cost, after 5 years, you're going to be at $3,500 in membership fees. Totally worth it, an incredible deal. But when you upgrade to lifetime today, it won't run you anything near that. In fact, it won't even be half that cost. Now, please know with this one-time charge, if you upgrade to lifetime on that next page, you'll never have to pay a renewal fee again. No maintenance charges, no hidden fees. And again, you get all the ongoing optimization added to your account automatically for free. It's just a one-time payment, and you can gain unfiltered access to the perfect Bitcoin trade for years and years to come. But that's only the beginning. As a lifetime member, you'll also get a free copy of the liquidity vacuum code. This means every single day you can have new trading opportunities right at the tip of your fingertips because you're not just limited to the tickers I'm using. You can find even more of these epic setups all on your own time. And if you pull up a list of stocks with high short interest, like Tesla or other stocks, Carvana, you can see just how stinking good it is. And of course, remember, it's programmed to give you exits to or more trades to the downside. Now that's a bonus for the people who take a lifetime. So this code is easily a $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 value on its own. But for the lifetime members, you can access it today for free. So guys, click that link to get started, take the base membership, and then you have an opportunity to upgrade to lifetime on the next page where you don't have to pay any renewal fees, nothing like that. And as a bonus, I'm also throwing in the liquidity vacuum indicator. So if you're excited for more upside in Bitcoin this year, well, I am too, and I look to take advantage of it every single step of the way. I firmly believe that Bitcoin will hit 150K before the year's end. But let's say you're worried about downside. Some people are. Well, I've got you covered too. Remember, when the liquidity vacuum indicator flips back to the downside, we can trade it that way as well. And there's 100% gains right there that you can see that we took in real time. So there's a new trade coming up. Click that link in the chat to get started. I think you're going to love it. And don't forget the bullish catalyst at hand, why I think this opportunity is so prime right now. Governments are buying Bitcoin. We've never seen that before. Technically speaking, we're breaking out. Bitcoin's volatility range has been compressed for the third time since the halving. First time went bam. Second time went bam. Third time it's going bam right now as we speak. Remember, during Bitcoin's low volatility periods, we typically see a huge short interest start to build up. It's because Wall Street oftentimes expects breakdowns after consolidations. But when they're wrong and the volatility suddenly expands, literally like today, price breaks higher to the outside the standard deviation, catches them off guard, they're forced to liquidate, they're forced to exit their short positions by buying Bitcoin. That adds fuel to the rally, propelling the breakout more and more. So when we're used to seeing these kinds of wins regularly with the perfect Bitcoin trade, can you imagine how big they could get over the coming weeks with this breakout we're seeing right now? And that's why I believe it's critical to get in today, because once Bitcoin starts moving, it's a very tough force to stop. So again, click that link in the chat. You guys will see there's an awesome multi-year deal. If you guys want to go ahead and get a couple years of this for a fraction of the cost, huge discount, do that. And then on that next page, highly recommend upgrading to lifetime. It's also a no-brainer cost too. Now, let me answer a few common questions here, and then I'm going to jump into the chat, and it looks like we have about 50 chats. So I'll do that here next. Question number one, how much do these Bitcoin options cost? Well, remember, guys, any regular brokerage account, no different than trading Apple or the SPY or QQQ. And these options, most of them you can get in for as little as $100 to $200. I think our average is about $130 on the options. How long does each trade last? Well, they can go longer, they can go shorter. It just depends, right? I showed you a 21-day move. I also showed you a overnight move that paid 150%. But so far, the average holding period is around 9 days. Am I sure you can trade this in your regular brokerage account? Yes, we do it here all the time, guys. It's no different than buying shares of or trading options on Apple, Amazon, SPY, or QQQ. The ticker is IBIT. That's what we most commonly use. Now, I will give you some bonus opportunities, which are also basic tickers like Coinbase. We've seen Coinbase. We've seen MicroStrategy. We've even seen Mara. Are the options complex? No, guys. I give you the basic call option to take so that anyone can trade it. And I also include a hand-picked spread so that the savvy traders can take those too. And of course, you can just take the stock if you want. What's my Bitcoin price target for 2025? Well, based on the past 4-year cycles, I think we could top out quarter three at about $150,000 to $200,000 per coin. If you look at the Bitcoin price in markets, I think it's like 70% now, so it's definitely going above 125. And I think $150,000 is a very, very reasonable target here. Do you need to have a crypto wallet to take these trades? No, no, no. The majority of our trades will be done on ticker IBIT, which is the Bitcoin ETF. Any regular brokerage account should have that. And I'll even give you some bonus trades on other related names like Coin, MicroStrategy, and more. Is there a guarantee? Yes, guys. It's all backed by my 14-day money-back guarantee. Either you love it, or we can swap you into another program that might work better for you. Worst case, if we can't find a good fit, we can refund your cost. No problem, guys. Will I only give you entry alerts, or will there be exit alerts too? Guys, I'm never going to leave you hanging. I will always send entry and exit alerts so that you're always in the loop. Question 9, how does the bonus investment portfolio work? This is just a bonus I threw in there with some tickers I like and how I would prefer to allocate my own portfolio. Again, this is up to you, how you want to use it, how much scale you want to give to it. Again, I wouldn't go 100% in on any one investment. Could work out, but it also could be a big recipe for disaster. So I gave this into you in the members portal as a bonus. Again, you can see it's up very, very nicely over the last 16 months or so. Again, new trade coming up. Don't miss it. Bitcoin's breaking out right now. It's not $19.95 per year. It's not even half that. There's a huge, huge savings going on today. It's a limited time pricing. Go ahead and click that link in the chat or go to prosperitypub.com/PBT or give us a call, 904-706-3537. Now, I'm out of breath, but I'm going to open up this chat here and answer some questions. And you guys are right. I do speak really fast. Wow.
Graham, you have been on for almost 2 hours here, buddy. So you deserve the opportunity to take a quick little break, a little breather there. Terrific presentation. A lot of people very, very interested in what's going on. And you're right, Graham. What a great time to get involved with Bitcoin. And as you point out, it's not too late. It's not too late. We're just at the beginning here of another one of these amazing, amazing super cycles. So there were several questions that came up during the presentation, but you answered most of them. Number one, people were wondering, do I need to do anything exotic to trade this? And I think you just said, you're just basically going to buy calls.
Yeah. Guys, you can do the stock. I will send you the basic level 1 calls or puts if we're going short. And then I also give you a spread, guys. Anything you need, however you prefer to trade it, you can do it, whatever your brokerage allows you, whatever you're comfortable with. I just want to make sure that everyone can take advantage of it.
Yep, exactly. And to your point, when you see those nice opportunities where Bitcoin happens to be moving south, Once again, just buying a put in that case. And folks, that's level one options right there. Now, Graham did talk about the fact that he, for those of you more that are more savvy, he's going to share, a spread trade that you might want to take. And is that included in every alert or just on occasion, Graham?
It's just a bonus in every alert. I give you guys all of the criteria so you can choose what's best for you. So for trading
Okay.
IBIT, I would say you could buy IBIT. As, this is an entry alert. Buy IBIT. If you want to trade the basic call option, buy the 20 June, 62 call. If you'd like to trade the spread, here's the spread information. Buy this one, sell this one, net debit here. And I also do the profit calculations as well. And then, of course, I follow up with the exit instructions as well too, so when I'm getting out, when I'm closing out our gains.
Yeah, and so there are other folks were asking the question. You showed some pretty nice gains. Was that just simply on calls or puts, or were those based on your special wrap orders that you like to place?
Some of them were calls and puts. Some of them were the special the orders that I do as well. But like that 193% gain. Let me just pull that back up. This was our most recent close trade. If I can scroll up here, where did I put that thing?
In the bank.
In the bank, that's right. So here, actually, this is a good sample. So you guys can see, I give you the basic call option. I also give you the spread as well. So this one, here's the call option example. You just took the basic calls, 193% in 21
nice directional
days.
Move. Yep.
Yeah. Now I happen to do both, and I took 100% profit on the spread and 193 on the call. So that worked out good.
Man, unbelievable. Love the way that you're doing this, my friend. It looks great. And so many people were wondering, is this recorded? And the answer is yes, folks. This is a live presentation and it is being recorded. And if any of you would like to have a link to a copy of this and also maybe the opening playbook that you did as well, all you have to do, folks, is just put your name and email address in the chat panel and say, send me the replay. And when we're done here, I'll get that information to our customer care team, and they'll send you a link to that replay as soon as it is available. Let's see here. So some questions about the guarantee. It's 14 days, guys. It's 14 calendar days from your date of purchase. You can take advantage of everything in the program. And if for whatever reason it doesn't resonate with you, call us. Perhaps there's something more convenient that you would like to use or better suited to you. Or if not, we'll just give you your money back. We're not going to hold you hostage.
No, definitely not. And remember, guys, if you do take that lifetime deal, you get the indicator code as well. I know. Which we'll probably do a training on here soon in the opening playbook. But it's really cool. It basically, guys, if you're familiar with what happened with GameStop, right? AMC with the squeezes.
Yeah.
It's just like that here on stocks that have high short interest. In this case, Bitcoin has a high short interest. And when it goes against those short sellers, it really can make these extreme moves to the upside. And I should put up a chart here today, but we're right here at the upper breakout range for that.
And I love the name of this thing, liquidity vacuum indicator.
Yeah. I had to come up with something fancy.
No, but it makes all the sense in the world. Yep. If you just think about what it is, it's like, there you go.
Well, a lot of the times, the reason I came up with that name is a lot of the times when Bitcoin does break above, like we're seeing right now, it's oftentimes going into uncharted territory where there is no selling liquidity yet. It's price discovery, if you will. Right. And people are kind of scrambling. Especially the short sellers are scrambling to buy to get out of their positions, and it just launches the thing into this uncharted territory.
Man, fantastic. And you were saying that you can also, for people that have that, they'll also be able to use that potentially on other stocks or indicators. So is there, is there a scanner for that, or do you just basically go ahead and just type in symbols?
You can type in symbols, but what I would do, guys, if you get that on your charts, just pull up the S&P 500 and short interest stocks, sort highest to lowest. Like Tesla's a really, really good one because you guys have seen it a ton of times. When it breaks above that standard deviation, the short sellers are covering, they're buying to get out, and that sends it launching higher.
Wow, unbelievable. And I tell you what, you talked about, what you have done, working with Nate, the publisher, to go ahead and make this affordable as possible. Folks, I'm just going to give you a disclosure here. This is what Graham and the team have done. For those of you that are here with us today, you can get the 1-year program for $695. You could go for 2 years for $895 or 3 years for $995. Okay. Yeah. And you'll see that on the landing page. Now, when you select either one of those, you'll be given the option if you want to upgrade to lifetime, and the total special price for lifetime right now is 1690, and it does include that liquidity vacuum indicator. So folks, I mean, Graham, I think you've done everything that you can to make this as affordable as possible, while at the same time sharing exactly what's going on, your performance over live trades. And we know that past performance doesn't guarantee anything in the future, but by golly, I think the stars are aligning on this one.
Well, I'm doing the best I can. I'm just really trying to help out as many people as I possibly can. Of course, I put my own money in there too. So if I help you, I'm helping me as well. So it's a win-win for all of us.
That's a good point, Graham. They're not, and I'll make this statement. There's not a lot of folks out there that are also putting their own skin in the game, but you're basically sharing with people the trades that you're actually taking. Carlos was wondering, when do the trades come out? And typically, is there a time during the day when they come out?
Typically Fridays or Mondays. In this instance, with the liquidity vacuums, I'm looking for it on Friday. I want to see the weekly close, get that up arrow.
Right.
And then for our momentum breakouts, which again, like I said, there's a couple different strategies we use here that's generated that awesome win rate. That typically comes on Monday after the weekend price action is settled.
Okay. And there were some questions here about, the performance of the system, and, and it's all in your trade tracker, folks, but 44% is the net gain on these sales. That's averaging winners and losers. Typical winner is around 76%, typical losing trade about 86%. You have an 81% win rate. And here's the kicker, guys. The current profit factor on these live trades is 3.64. And if you don't know what profit factor is, that means for every dollar you lose, you make $3.64 on a strategy with an 81% win rate. Graham, extremely impressive. The data doesn't lie.
Raleigh, when I first set out on this, my goal was to be above a 70% win rate. So I am just ecstatic about that 81% win rate right now and just the results we've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Average trade, Carlos, by the way, is about 9 days. That's the average holding time on it. Some quicker, some a little bit longer, but that's the average. And when the alerts come out, is I understand the question. So I'm driving down the road, I get an alert. Do I need to pull off the side of the road and enter this thing?
No, typically no, guys. No, you normally can. You have all day to take it. If you want, some days you can get in on the next day. I have 2 open trades right now, and one of them's already up 50% or so.
Okay.
The other one's right around flat, so it's been a couple days, and you can still get on that one.
Excellent. So I think, guys, the best recommendation would be is if the alert comes out on a Friday, for example, try to get in before the market closes on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the best advice, but it's not the end of the world. Just check it out the next day. But if it's moved aggressively, just realize that you may have lost some of your profit potential on that.
Yep. How long are each trade? The average is 9 days. Some will be a couple weeks. Some will be a couple days, just depending on the move we get and when we get our profits.
Now, when somebody takes advantage of the lifetime deal, which is awesome on so many fronts, and they get the new indicator, what platforms does that work on, Graham?
I've got it set up for both TradingView and Thinkorswim.
TradingView as well. Okay,
Yep.
Great. So for those of you, for example, our friends in Canada or outside the United States that just don't have access to Thinkorswim, you have TradingView as a very nice option.
Yep.
That's excellent. All right.
Oh, it looks like Bitcoin is moving higher again today. I love to see it. I think it's about to go, go, go. So I'm doing the best I can to try and warn people again. I did it last January, 40. It was at 40K. Said 100, over 100 by Christmas. Nailed it. I'm trying to warn you again now. I don't think we're going to get a double here. Could. I think we're going to get about a 50% increase in the price of Bitcoin. I think 150K here on Bitcoin is a very reasonable target, but we're going to get a lot of awesome trading opportunities with the options leveraging our returns on the way up.
Who was it that forecasted it could go as high as 700,000?
Well, Raleigh, that's actually kind of funny. That's Larry Fink.
That's Larry Fink? Okay.
Of BlackRock.
Yeah.
He just so happens to be the person who owns, his company set up the IBIT ETF. So, of course, he's bullish on it.
Yeah, he's bullish on it.
He wants it going high because that means more money for him.
Yeah, so we'll take that with a grain of salt. But if
That's
you cut
right.
it in half, you're at 350. And I think your feeling at this point in time is you wouldn't be surprised if it goes to 150 or 200,000
Yeah, I think that's
in
very reasonable.
2025. Yeah.
Very reasonable. All right, Raleigh. Well, I am winded from my 2 hours of talking here. I appreciate you
Bet
holding
you
down the fort, and thank you all for being here today. I'm going to tune out now. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at some trade opportunities that we have today. But guys, if you have any questions, post them here in the chat. Thank you all for
Yes.
being here today.
Yeah, absolutely. And folks, I'm going to stay here a little bit longer, and I'll answer any last minute questions